love, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks for life and the mighty life giver, King Selassie Jah, Rastafari. Give thanks, for the celebration of the Black Christ Mass, Ethiopian Christ Mass going through at this time. Give thanks for all those that's here present with us in the Zoom meeting, and give thanks for all those watching on YouTube. This is the International Study Group, and this is the African Liberation Network. I'm Prophet Daniel, the host. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Honorable Prophet Winston to say the prayer to open the program. My Lord.
Give thanks again, my Lord, for the morning of praise, and all prophet, priest, our Lord and Empress. Holy Emmanuel,
Selassie,
Jah,
Rastafari.
And I say, glory be to our Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy One of creation. Because Jah Rastafari was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be. Shall walk without end. Selassie,
Jah Rastafari.
Holy Emmanuel,
Selassie,
Jah
Rastafari.
And I say, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren and sisters to dwell together in unity and love. It's like the precious ointment upon the head that went hung upon the bed, even Aaron bed that went to the skirt of his garments. As the Jophaman, and as the Jew that descended upon the mountain of Zion, therefore the Lord Rastafari for man blessed with him, even life forevermore. Holy Emmanuel,
Selassie, Jah Rastafari.
Thanks again, prophet and priest present, my Lord. Our love and our clearance and guidance shout the day, my Lord. Holy Emmanuel,
Selassie, Jah Rastafari.
Selassie.
Give thanks, my Lord. Yes, Royal Family, give thanks for another international study group. Give thanks for everyone taking the time to be here with us today, as we reason about the important matters, important subjects for Bobo Shanti and African people as a whole to understand about themselves and about ourselves. Yeah, so today's topic is the office of Christ, being that this is a priesthood founded around the life of Christ, the man who we know as Christ. And all of us as priests, prophets, and empresses are striving to live as Christ does live, and to let Christ live through us. So, in this particular reasoning, we will, reason about what is Christ, who is Christ, what does it mean to be Christ, and, other, relevant aspects of Christ, with prophecy, history, and reality, to give evidence to what it is that we're talking about and what it is that we're living for, So yes, my Lord and Empress, at this time, I would like to just open up the topic, briefly to kind of talk about the name, or not even name, but the title Christ. It's confused with being a name, those who follow, say Jesus, they think that Christ is a name, some of them, not all, but Christ is really a title for someone. It means the anointed one, So we see King Emmanuel, Charles Edwards, as the Black Christ in flesh. He said he had a vision of himself as the first Christ. And we, praise him because he taught us this order. Nobody really taught him. Of course, he learned certain aspects through his culture, through his upbringing. But then there's other things that, he didn't really get from anywhere else. He just, out of his own brilliant mind, created this full order, of salvation for I and I to live, to purge ourselves, to bring ourselves to a right, as the first gods and goddesses of the earth, royal Ethiopian sons and daughters. He taught us that we are the house of Israel, He showed us who we are through scripture, prophecy, history, and just reality, in plain terms and plain ways, he showed us what it is to live as Christ through his life, when I say example, his ensample, through his life, and creating this organization, this association, the EABIC COS, and the churchical order you know, but also just the everyday life, you know, because in a lot of faiths, you don't really see like a real difference in what people like they're say they have a high ideal of who is Christ, but then when it comes to their everyday life, they just do the regular things that, you know, the society does do, which we know Christ was a man who did not get along with society, you know. In the Bible, the people of, you know, as it describes the story of the life of Christ, first, when he was born, the king sought to kill him, you know. Yeah, and as he grew and became wise, and even showed the people what he knows about life and about spirituality and about, you know, healing and all of these things, it was a threat to the powers that be, you know, so they wanted him gone, and the people didn't like him either because he was against all of the folly and corruption that they were, you know, living with, you know. So um he really was not one who would fit in with the masses, you know. So we give thanks for, you know, this man that came to show us that is not you. All right, for instance, the scripture says we're born in the world, but we're not of the world. But most of the people that we see that call themselves Christians are really of the world, and they do worldly things, you know, and really love material things and accredit their material gain to a blessing from God and things like this. But we don't, you know, that's not realistic still, because as we say, Christ is not a material kind of person. He's more, you know, yes, he's in flesh. He is a spirit in flesh, but he came to show us to not be of the world, you know, and truly, Bobo Shanti order is not a worldly order, and it's very different than any other lifestyle that you would see in the world, you know. So yeah, that's just a brief, you know, summary, I guess, of who Christ really is and what it is that we are here to even understand. But, you know, we'll go into detail. We had some questions that someone sent in that we would try to answer, but also, you know, the floor is open for ones and ones to share whatever it is that you may have to read, or your thoughts, your opinions, anything, you know, about Christ and what is Christ, who is Christ, how do we live to be Christ, and all of these things, you know. So at this time, I'll just open up the floor. Empress Maisie is, you know, our elder who's on the line with us. So, you know, I would love for her to kind of, if she doesn't mind, to be the first to speak, and then we'll just, you know, by a show of hands, we'll call on ones and ones to read and reason and share, and you know, we'll just go from there. My Lord and Empress, give thanks. Empress Maisie,
Yes,
you
my
feel to
Lord.
speak and share at this time?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Blessed love, my Lord and Empress, you know, give thanks again, my Lord, as we gather, you know, on these occasions once more, you know, in the study group, you know, if we talk about the office of Christ, or who is Christ? That's a very, very important question. Who is Christ? But I know who is Christ, you know, because especially me, I have the opportunity to be in the man present, you know, on the foundation, the Black Christ in flesh, or Redeemer, you know, Lord of hosts is his name, Selassie Jah,
Yeah.
Rastafari.
Rastafari.
First, I must tell you, give thanks again for the Black Christmas, you know, the birth of earth, birth of Christ, you know. Give thanks, his celebration go through. Give thanks, Honorable Prophet Daniel, who make it possible, you know. So ones and ones could see it, you know, even though more time we have a little difficulty because of the internet. Sometimes it's slow, so but it doesn't matter. We hear what we hear. And this is the first time during a celebration, you know, ones and ones could hear it live from Bubba Hill. What a mighty God we serve. Give thanks, my Lord, Jah Daniel, for such opportunity that the man's service could go out there, you know, and brothers and sisters could really view it, you know, and will enjoy within themselves. Give thanks, Most High, Selassie,
Rastafari.
Rastafari. This is the priest, them still, is the priest, them, and prophet, you know, reasoning still, but, well, who is Christ? Well, we know Christ, the Father, you know, come true, a father line within a mother womb, you know, and was born in a manger, you know, and grew up with Mary and Joseph. When he reached certain years, you know, when he was 12, he was on his own, you know, talking with governors and big dignitaries and all of that. And then when he reached 18, he didn't hear no more of the man until the man age 32, you know, and we hear of him, you know, to his father, you know, that he has to crucified. The Father Jesus Christ shed him in blood, you know, he was crucified, you know, and I sons and daughters see him here to take away the sins and transgression of the world, you know, to set I free, yeah. And through slavery, again, the man had also left him home in Mount Zion and came down here, in the Western Hemisphere,
True.
you know, where the man sit in the dust
True.
with I, you know, sons and daughters to redeem I, you know, because we were taken away, you know, and came and brought down here, you know. And so the Father, Jesus Christ, had us to come and to redeem I.
True.
Well, beloved, everybody know who is Christ and the work of Christ, or what Christ stands for. You see? Christ our God and King. He's our Redeemer. Yeah. Come and stand for truth and right. And he come and he teach. He's a teacher, anointed teacher. And the man come to teach us the way of right. Yeah. Or we must save ourselves, or we must live as a people. Yeah. You see? So that's the work of Christ. And enough more things still, you know, but I'll just give a few points as I've been. And so we need some priests up here now. The priest, them is a representative of Christ, you know, or for the order of Melchizedek. You see, them is the one who is to teach I know, you know, about the fulfillment of Christ. You see? So, my Lord, I give thanks, you know, who is Christ and the office of Christ. Well, I am here to listen and to put my input, you know, as I go along the way, you know. So I give thanks, my Lord, you know, glorify Daniel for the opportunity that I can speak. Give thanks to the Black Christ, our Redeemer, you know. Lord of hosts is his name. Holy Emmanuel, I
Yeah.
Rastafari. Prophet Winston, your hand is up, my Lord. Give thanks, Empress Maisie, for your word sound. Prophet Winston, you have the floor, Bobo.
So, my Lord, give thanks again for the giving of thanks. First, give thanks for the celebration, you know. Give thanks for Emmanuel, you know, Black Christ. Well, I know Emmanuel as a Christ man because for nations of days we did here, you know. Babylon never proved nothing to we and show we who is really Jesus, you know. Them tell us about Jesus, but them never really show we who's really Jesus. You know, but then we come in Rastafari and see in Rastafari, everything live within Rastafari. Life is everlasting in Rastafari. So we could never see Selassie and then see the Christ, man. So we start to search for the Christ, man. That's why I see in Bobo Shanti now we meditate Revelation 5. Because Revelation 5 show you the power of Emmanuel and really the Christ, man, which is the faith. You know, because Bobo Shanti is a meditation, you know, so the mind of the man who sit up in Jamaica and rule all over the world, same right now in this time here. There's only one man do that right now. It's King Emmanuel. So I see King Emmanuel as the black Christ, because Christ is the yard in which we come through, you know. Every man is Christ, man, you know. Jehovah Christ is a marketing concept, is a power within we, you know. You could never get Jesus without you have Christ, same way. Jehovah, so it's a balance, you know. So we as Bobo now, we know Emmanuel as the man who crucified 2,000 years ago. So we come to show the world Emmanuel, because the world no Marcus, everyone no Marcus, you know, the power Marcus Garvey, everyone knows Selassie, you know, but Emmanuel now, which is the Christ man, the black Christ, the Moses, we come show the world, King Emmanuel, Bobo Hill, and my father, that is the man we crucified 2,000 years ago. So if you're looking for any prophecy or any Christ man, there's only one man you can find it in with such powers and faith. You know, is this man. Because this man live, you know, King Emmanuel live through the heart of all flesh. Because let me show you something of this man too again. You know. I see it up here upon the mountain top, and I see the man all the time, you know. All the time I see the man. I see the man all the time, you know. If anything wrong with that man, the man a pay. And from the man a pay, it gone. If anyway hurting for a man, and you see the man a pay, it gone. So I know the man is the man. You know, King Emmanuel is the man, is the Christ man, is the real man. We come show, we say, Jehovah is everlasting life, you know. We power we can't die. As Bobo, we go always be a north. You know, we go always be a north. Is the barn and the unborn, you know. Is the barn and the unborn, you know. So we as Bobo Shanti now, we carry the power there as Emmanuel, showing the world that Emmanuel is the man. We have the key. We have the key for everything, you know. Jehovah says him set everything, and it's him the man. The only man will go and come forward is King Emmanuel, you know. Every man tried, you know, but the only man will go and come forward is Emmanuel. You see, and I know with this power here now is a power where you have to show the world your cleanliness, where you can heal others and even heal yourself to show forward King Emmanuel. Because look at Christianity. In the church, them say them can heal, you know, and in certain organization, them say them can heal. We as prophet and priest in Bobo Hill now, we carry the right God and the real God. I for show the world, you know, we are the people, we are the chosen people. We are the 144,000 elect saints, and the children and the woman, them numberless same way, the sun and the seashore. So we as Bobo Shanti now, we have a walk for the spirituality walk. We must stay clean at all time to show forward that power of King Emmanuel. You know, and we must reason upon the commandment, like words to words, which means we ain't just supposed to read the commandment, but we must do it in our man. I man don't even have to look in the book for the commandment, you know. I can say it. I can say almost everything in the book where I have to keep on the Sabbath every day because now I chat with the Empress, and sometimes the Empress Jehovah's hand free and I can't get to go in the book. So I have to keep the Bible closed. So I have to know these things without even opening it. So I train myself within the power Rastafari so the word can live within I and I. You know, so anything, sometimes somewhere hot in you go, cleanse up yourself, you burn your chalice, you meditate, and you go feel the Psalms, you go feel the power of the Psalms in you, you just carry it to the part where hot in you. And I tell you, my Lord and Empress, in less than half an hour, every pain will move. You know, so I know the Emmanuel. I know King Emmanuel, we set the 21 Psalms every day. I know the man, it's a power, you know, it's a power in I and not just reading them, but holding and keeping them in I. Jehovah's has Bobo to show forward the liberty and the way of Christ same within I. So I give thanks again for the celebration. I give thanks again for the fasting and praying because Priest John, I said to him, man, my Lord, if you don't fast, the devil will overcome you, you know. So I man is a man now, I man fast Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday night for Friday because I make myself, prepare myself for the Sabbath. I can't just run going the Sabbath just so without cleansing yourself. So you fast from Thursday night to Friday same way so that you have that you're feeling before you even reach in the Sabbath, you're trembling. Your eye just clicking because the power's in you, because you're cleansing yourself. You ain't just run out the road, run onto the Sabbath, you know. You make preparation for the Sabbath within your mind, within your structure, because you show forward the manual, you know. We as Bobo come to show the man.
You look like it.
My Lord, we as Bobo come show the world the Christ, man, you know. We crucified 2,000 years ago. Let me show you something. One night before I even reach up camp, you know, before I go Bobo Hill, you know, I see Selassie in Bobo Hill amongst the priests and them. Rasta. I shiver. Vision are telling you, and I shiver all over. And I the outside the gate stand up waiting for going. But Selassie, I the inside with the Bobo them. You see when the gate open for I go in, I tremble, my Lord. I fulfill Ezekiel. Jehovah, I tremble. I wait until I see myself in the camp before I go in Bobo Hill. I just ain't run go in Bobo Hill. So I pray night and day until I vision myself in Bobo Hill and then I go in the camp. Because vision is real, eh? You know, see it. So through the power of the Christ, man, Emmanuel, I even call my brother for show him. Emmanuel, which is Honorable Jabli, same way because I bring him within the order Rastafari and I show him in the heavens and Emmanuel appear. Emmanuel appear and we hold the powers from such time and to this time we still holding the powers. You see, I could show them something, my Lord, but even my princess, they get a rock in she head in Canada from a white youth. And I know first she do the white youth, so she want to be here today. And every time the princess come, I always see she knocking, she say that she head, like knocking it. So I wonder, well, something have wrong with the princess meditation. And then when she go school, she get in trouble in remembering and all these things. I man come home now. Even when I come home and I see it up the powers, my Lord. The princess appeared to her, man. And the red spot, the last one she had appeared by the side that she had. My Lord, you see when I move it, the princess brighter than bulb, my Lord. So I know King Emmanuel is alive. The man is alive. The man can't die. This man can't die. And the road where King Emmanuel trod, if it was a wrong road, he would have never prepared Zion for and I. This is a Zion chat. Man have to make it right within themselves to live in Zion. If you cast yourself in Zion, you have to do enough work. Man supposed to be able to see themselves in Zion amongst Selassie, amongst Emmanuel, and amongst the flock, and still they are not each other. Man have to carry them powers to know where them come from and where them going today as Bobo. So we have to hold this power even more stronger to bring down Elizabeth with enough spring water, more cleanliness to bring down Elizabeth. Follow the principle of the 29 and bring down Elizabeth because we have to bring them down so that we could get repatriation, my Lord. Because we into some chat, all in Zion I see, we have to come up just now with the turn down banners because it ain't easy for Bobo to go to the throne of David because there's a lot of order, a lot of groups, a lot of people within Rastafari, and every mansion one of them is the leading mansion. So for Bobo Shanti, for go to the throne of David, we have to work hard. Even harder than how we working here, my lad.
I praise my Lord.
Sure.
To all the ones in the Zoom meeting, while someone is speaking, especially if you have background noise, just please keep the microphone muted, because when any sound comes through, it cuts off the person who is speaking, and we would be hearing your background noise as opposed to what's being said. So out of respect, don't feel no way if I mute you, and please don't keep unmuting, when I mute your microphone, because I will remove you from the reasoning because it's, unnecessary. All right, give thanks.
My lad.
Yes, I.
Give thanks again for the powers, my lad. You see the self-discipline, eh? It's come as a self-discipline, Just show we say, we have to be disciplined within ourselves, same to know Jehovah's, we can't be obstructed to the word of King Emmanuel and to the way of King Emmanuel, because we are equal people. And to how we may look upon one another, said we say, we have to look within the passion of Christ. Because we say Christ, we say Emmanuel, and we come to prove the world as Emmanuel. And the Bingi brethren in my country was sure, and I say, he get the other Anaya Bingi from Jamaica and he ruling the country. I go show Emmanuel. And when I go show Emmanuel, he telling I teaching him wrong. That is not right. And he could meet me a couple of days ago and tell me King Emmanuel is the Christ man. He could tell I man right now, King Emmanuel is the Christ man. And he don't go and tell all the brothers in the other, in the way Anaya Bingi in the song, Anaya Bingi that Jehovah's King Emmanuel is real Christ man. So it's just a prophecy. And as much as we set up these programs and these reasoning here, no one can turn Bobo Shanti overnight. It's a calling, it's a calling. You could talk and you could go to the tabernacle 100 times, but it's an intensive calling, you have to get job will call you, and you go be Bobo same. Because Bobo is not nothing where something simple where you can just be Bobo tomorrow. Bobo is a sacrifice. Jehovah's demand to sacrifice thy children and thy born offering, thy peace offering, and in 10 acts, and in all peace when I record my name, I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. So when a sacrifice in the children now, if you have to go hungry for the principle of the Sabbath, you just have to go hungry for the principle of the Sabbath. That is the sacrifice the man talking about, The man show we how to live, one to another, same upright. If you see a brother within the other, and he may inform him, miss a lot of things, teach him the other. Don't turn sideways and laugh against him and try to make him look like him. That's not the way of Christ. Christ is self-thought, self-awareness, and self-control. We say self-upliftment, So when ones and ones come now and start to form themselves in them with it. I in the classroom, I teach in self-thought, self-awareness, and self-control. Self-taught alone, I spend in a whole year to teach yourself that the youth and them self-taught alone, and I ain't come on self-control yet. You know how much meditation within self-taught, you can't don't teach it. If you study the word, sound and power, that is Naya Bingi. That is the Bingi where we're chatting today for King Emmanuel. It's word, sound and power. There's only one other, Bobo Shanti other, which is Melchizedek other, which is the other, the priestical order, where we come live today. We must live it. And we must just live it just so, but we must, as King Emmanuel show man, him book and Bible, we must beat Bible. We must beat Bible every day. Rasta, Jehovah's, Even when we go and light the stove, we turn to the east, we black a reverence over the fire before we light the fire. We must push up Bobo Shanti powers. And when we push up them powers, we don't even have no problem, no sickness around we house. Jehovah's, we meditation go always be clear. We always be healthy same way. So I say in the affliction too. When I go to Mama Julia, when I reach camp, I sit with Mama Julia and reason with Mama Julia, which is the elder, and she was so full-sighting, Jehovah's to even chat from the camp with I man same way. Because she showing I man, she feeling I man, she seeing I man. And she show him enough things where I see come manifest today. You know, and I seen it manifest today, and I give thanks for Prophet Daniel saying we come and set certain liberty, because I always want to see in the foundation, because I and my brothers and them have prejudice with the phone, so you can call them phone when you feel like. And I always wanted a phone in the camp so that we can call the camp. You know, because a lot of youth here, we go love to go Bobo Hill same, we go love to know the culture same way, we go love to chat as Bobo same way, you know. So I go love the way they open up for a man and for the elder them to receive them, even my princess. Jehovah's we now turn 18. I looking for she to go camp. I want them able to receive her and even teach her the culture, put certain power upon she, and then she return forward, because the man say who make it for rich, they are going to stay there, you know. King Emmanuel says so. Who make it for rich there, I go stay there. You know what I mean? 144,000 like saying. Any man stand up in the ground above Shanti will be counted in the 144,000 like saints. Eh?
Yes,
you know?
man.
So I give thanks again for the giving of thanks. I give thanks again for the reasoning. I give thanks again for life over all things same. Because, my Lord, King Emmanuel is God. Jehovah, it's a joke. King Emmanuel is the Almighty God. When I read in Psalms, my Lord, I glorify the two, because Priest Simon show me it's two man. I go to Revelation 5 and I see it's two man. No man can go to the Father but to the Son. So I know you have to glorify them. You have to glorify them within the reading of the Psalms, you know, because when I say Jehovah's Psalm 60 and 8, you know, let Haile Selassie, King Emmanuel, God. You hear it? Let Haile Selassie, King Emmanuel, God, arise and let all his enemies scatter. Because King Emmanuel tell the Queen of England is God. Jehovah, there's only one man come declare himself as God. Is Emmanuel. Emmanuel come take Selassie word, you know, and call him God. Same prophecy and history, same way. So you have to know how to put the word. It's a meditation order. When I go camp, I didn't learn much physically, but I've been done learning spirituality powers, because I could see Dada and relate to Dada. All in the moon, I could talk to Dada one-on-one and all these things before I even anointed in Jamaica. When I go anointed in the office, the priest and them wipe out the office with vinegar, wipe down all the books and the shelf and everything in the office, and then come I didn't just come just so, you know, fulfilling the commandment, come within the office of the priest, you know. And I chat from there from a spirituality chat, chatting all the time, you know. Chatting as a spiritual, chatting all the time as a spiritual, chatting all the time. So give thanks again for the reasoning. Give thanks again for life, health and strength. Give thanks again for the giving of thanks, mean cover all things. Give thanks again for the present. Give thanks again for everything he created and made. All the lovely works he have done. Give thanks again for truth and righteousness. Give thanks again for truth and righteousness. Give thanks again for our love from Zion toward my Lord. My Lord, more strength and keep up the good works. And what I doing same way, my Lord, and keep up the good works at the Congress, at the Tabernacle, Bobo Hill, my Lord, is very important in this time. If you and I, you oversee it, because there's no way out unless we come together as one. You we can't move, and appealing to all the people, them as myself. Let we go Bobo Hill and live. Clean up the Congress and plant up the mountain and live. Jehovah's, because Jah go appear there again in this time, you know, full forward. He coming again at King Emmanuel, you know. My Lord, give thanks again for the love. Give thanks again for the strength. All prophet and priest, 4 wings, even the priest, them, we really make it to be here same way. Right now in this time, the same way. Glorify them anyway, them the same way. Keep the altar 7. Jehovah's, you know, keep the altar 7 at all time fulfilling Exodus 20 and 31. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. My Lord, is a great pleasure and is a great joy and is a great love, you know. And there's a great salvation to even know Bobo Shanti and to live Bobo Shanti, you know, because
wow.
You could see the glory of God and you could see the salvation of God. Holy Emmanuel, are you?
Selassie, Jah.
Yes,
Father.
yes, Mama Daisy. Before
Prophet Winston.
True,
We
my
have to
Lord.
open the floor for someone else still. Jasik, my Lord Prophet Jasik had his hand raised from a while, so I'll give the floor.
True.
Give thanks, Prophet Winston, my Lord, for the testimony and the prophecy.
Glorify majesty.
Jasik.
Bless the Lord, Honorable, my Lord and Empress, Prince and Princess. Give thanks for the Royal Study Group. Heart of love.
That's it.
Yeah, we give thanks for Christ, For your Christ is our Savior, same way still,
True, man.
Come to save, From the world of sin, come to save our night, For Jah Rastafari Selassie, the Father, of us all, So love his people and I. As he sent his own anointed Son in his holy name. Whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
True.
Jesus Christ is the rock of our salvation. Jesus Christ is the leader of our salvation. He had the way, he had the truth, he had the life. The light of this world is Jesus Emmanuel Negus, Rastafari. Most High God, Jehovah, Jah, Rastafari. So, so the man come to save me from death. He come with everlasting life. The man come with the salvation order, Yeah, clean hands and a pure heart, A heart for our kingdom, The Black Christ, If you love me, keep my commandments. Exodus 20:31. The Black Christ come and show me the way unto the Father. He come to show the way unto the Father, the Black Christ, But in all humbleness and lowliness and all meekness, He come to show you the way. Because he had the way, So from a man for the way of Christ, he in the right stead, He try in narrow road, So we give thanks for Christ, that's natural, same way, Yeah, man. Because no one go to the Father but through the Son, So the man come to show you the way. The Black Christ in flesh, So we give thanks still, So I'm going to celebrate for now, my Lord and Empress, Prince and Princess, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie,
Rastafari. Give thanks, my Lord. Yeah, I will, since no other hands are raised, I did want to share this very, popular chapter book, from, the Bible, Hebrews 7, which we often use to, point to Christ. And, feel free, as I read, I'm gonna read the entire book still. So if anyone have, something that, if you hear me say something you want to, share, like reason about, just, give me a little sound or something and I'll stop and allow a freedom to, clarify or share about any point within the book. Yeah, and it's a kind of long book still, so we'll take our time, Continuing reading from Hebrews chapter 7. For this Melchizedek is king of Salem. Salem means peace. Priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him. And that meeting of Melchizedek meeting Abraham, we Bobo Shanti, we say that is when King Emmanuel met His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I at King's house, and received a gold medal from him, and I don't know all of the, history on that particular meeting and everything, but I know there's a lot more
Bless him
to
and
it.
give him 1/10 of his spoil.
Go through?
Bless him and give him 1/10 of his spoil.
True. Yes, and the slaughter of the kings, what is the slaughter of the kings? Anybody can, give a clearance on what that means. Clark, you can speak, my Lord.
Bless the Lord, my Lord, our
Blessed
family. My Lord, when he mean the slaughter of the kings, in the fulfillment, we just talking about that means that the war would take place between he and Italy there.
Yeah.
So because the Pope had done send Benito Mussolini to conquer Ethiopia, and he come like he was our king and His Majesty, the king of all kings. So, you know, the king had to defend his kingdom, they just snatch out to my Lord. That was the slaughter of the kings that taking place at that time.
Yes, I give thanks, my Lord.
So I mean to the when in the disciples them.
What you say, Empress?
Wonderful. No, I think what I'm saying that it can also mean when they gather the disciples, them, you know, the Lord's Supper, he knew that one was going to point him out, you know. I know that he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's so it does come up to me still, I don't know.
Okay.
But you can also refer to that too.
All right, give thanks. Yeah, give thanks, Jack Clark, Empress Rachel. Pardon, Empress Maisie. I don't say Rachel. Pardon me, Empress. Continuing, verse 2. To whom also Abraham gave a tenth of part of all. First being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Yeah, you know, King Emmanuel taught us righteousness is mightier than sin, you know.
Sure.
And our whole, you know, lifestyle, liberty, culture is based on righteousness, you know, righteousness of salvation. Yeah, you know, freedom, redemption, international repatriation is, you know, is one thing, but righteousness, you know, is, you know, when we studied the Constitution the other week, we realized, it's not just, you know, to move people from one place to the other, but also to bring them forward to a better way of living, you know, living right and living good, loving one another. You know, when they asked King Emmanuel what is his message that he would like to get out to the people more than anything, he said love. You know? Pardon. So, without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Yes, Jaklaki, my Lord. Jaklaki.
My Lord, Honorable.
Listen.
Salem, my Lord, also represents and means Jerusalem too, you know. Yeah, because Salem is our place too. It not only represents peace, it represents Jerusalem, like how Emmanuel, you know, he's the king of Jerusalem now. You know, I need rule Israelite, the king of the Jews, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I. So Salem also represents Jerusalem now, you know?
Yes, I.
Yes,
To my knowledge,
Lord.
Jerusalem is the city of peace. You know, is that true? Like Salem is the.
Yeah, Salem. Yeah, in that kind of way too. Yeah, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So,
I am.
yes,
You
I
know,
do.
which way the priest sit in, you know? When the king sit in, he's the king of Salem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's the king of Jerusalem. You know, the king which part praises is God, the king which part godliness is flow, the holy city, you know?
Yes, I.
My Lord, yes, I.
Yes, my Lord.
And by the man say our feet will stand within the gate of Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. Yes, Honorable, my Lord. Straight.
You don't see nobody else in the world who came and established such a, you know, for one, the culture, but also the place, you know, the Jerusalem, you know, not just like, you know, in the place what they call Israel nowadays, you know, on the map, what the Europeans gave to, you know, other Europeans who called themselves Jews, you know, that Jerusalem is not really the spiritual Jerusalem, because you don't see no peace. You know, it's just war from ever since. Yeah, so give thanks for, you know, Bobo Hill. Yeah. And every Bobo camp in the world still, because it's all, you know, one.
Well, my Lord, it's
one foundation still, one headquarters.
Sure.
Go through my Lord.
My Lord, is apart, my Lord, in this time, you see, is the wicked really ruling right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing will be so, you see, like how all these people rule in Israel and them places, and then when they look upon it, is Zion is Israel. You see, so I have to go forward for the place and go forward for the holiness and take everything from them. Whether they like it, yes or no, King Emmanuel say could be the biggest battleship can't stop this judgment here, my Lord. Yes. What is Zion I own have to come and find, I say, you know? Mm-hmm. So give thanks, my Lord.
My Lord. So Yeah, when they say without father, without mother, yeah, having neither beginning of days nor end of life. You know, some people take that to mean like literally he was born without a mother and without a father, like, you know, just like he just appeared in the world, poof. But realistically, you know, as you know, when we reason about King Emmanuel, it was brought forward, you know, from the book that the sister wrote, the Black Christ Unveiled, that he, you know, did have parents, you know, was born through a mother's womb and a father's lineage, you know, still. But, you know, spiritually now, having neither father and mother is you know, a different, you can look at it differently, you know. I mean, you know, the floor is open still, but I would love to even get a clearance for us to be able to have some more understanding about that, because, you know, even like Christianity, right? With people that believe in, say, Jesus or whatever they call him, Jesus, you know, depending on the language, they say he was born of an immaculate conception, you know, that God impregnated Mary, and you know, Jesus was
I never seen
born.
that before.
Yeah, but you know, that's it's not really realistic, you know, and that I think that is what makes people look out at themselves when it comes to seeing God, you know, because only this character, Jesus in the Bible, is the only person you've ever heard of that was born without no father, you know, having intercourse with a woman to make him, you know. So we don't really deal with, you know, illusion and fantasy, yeah, because you can't see that nowhere, no time ever in history. So yeah, like realistically now, how could that be interpreted that this man was without mother and without father? You know, I would say like his order, nobody taught him this order. He created this order. Yeah, nobody taught King Emmanuel. Like, all right, for instance, Empress Maisie, you can give me a clearance here. In Jamaica, did people keep the Sabbath before Bobo Shanti?
Well, I grew up and see, yes, I don't know if it's before Baba Shanti, you know, but I grew up and see 7-day people keeping the Sabbath still.
Okay.
You know, from six Friday evening until 6 Saturday evening, but there are different things that them do within the Sabbath. That, you know, but I really grew up and see it, my Lord.
All right, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But even, I mean, the way, like the order of the Sabbath now, that's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, because pray Jordan, you have churches out there we go over 100 here. You see? Celebrating over 100 year. Yeah, so naturally they're supposed to, that is 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they're just not keeping it the way holy like how Dada, you know, said.
Yes, I seen Empress. Give thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to be sure before I go and say nobody was keeping Sabbath in Jamaica. I'd rather know for sure that. Yes, Jack Clark. Who had the hand raised? Was it Jack Clarkey, Jack Winston?
My Lord, them people will acknowledge this Sabbath, but them won't keep no Sabbath, because you can't keep Sabbath and dwelling up with the Empress on the Sabbath and all them things. These people, you can't keep no Sabbath in Jesus' name. There is no Sabbath in Jesus. Anything in Jesus, we lick it down. Jehovah says, King Emmanuel will come put up, because that's the only man will come show with the principle, Exodus 20 and 31. You see, no other man never come now and teach we Exodus 20 and 31, my Lord. Not even the people, them will say them declaring Jesus, them never come teach we Exodus 20 and 31. Them say them keeping Sabbath and them don't keeping a commandment, my Lord. There's only one commandment keeper, it's Bobo Shanti. Whether the wall, whether they like it, yes or no, there's only one order in the wall, it's Bobo Shanti. Joshua and I that. Bobo Shanti rule the whole wall, my Lord. You see? So I don't see where they trying and where they try. They absorb the Sabbath. Them know where the 7th day supposed to be the Sabbath, but them ain't keeping no Sabbath. You see? Because you can't keep Sabbath in pollution. All them doing all kind of thing are wrong. I have a sister in Barbados, my Lord. She's a Christian. And before I really see it up Rastafari, They were trying to convince a man of Christianity, my Lord. Jehovah, there's a whole heap of bangarang. You see them doing within the Sabbath, my Lord. Jehovah, they see it. Whether then they put them journey, yes or no, everything mix up. Them ain't keeping no principle. That they don't love pollution. Pollution is a serious affair. And from them ain't holding a pollution level, them ain't holding nothing. We can break down Babylon and build up Ethiopia right now, man.
That's the far right. Jack Clarkey, my Lord, give thanks to
This
Yahweh.
last judgment.
Yes, I. Prophet Clarkey, you can unmute yourself.
My Lord.
My Lord, Honorable.
Yes, sir.
Thanks to the word song of the Honorable Angel, my Lord. So I'm going to the man say, King Emmanuel, our leader, come and fulfill the law of Moses. He said he didn't come to break down Moses' law. He come to fulfill it. Now Moses is the man of God who come and with the 10 commandments, my Lord, and to fulfill. So he said he begat Moses in Egypt. Now what is making Emmanuel, my Lord, such a man of character, my Lord? Is the principles, my Lord, the laws, the commandments, and the statutes that govern his kingdom, my Lord, which is Christ's kingdom, my Lord.
Yes,
So
sir.
the fulfillment, my Lord, concerning what he asked within Melchizedek, who have the title without father, without mother, no beginning of days, no end of life, but abide continually like the Son of God. My Lord, this is where we have to understand now the mystery of the man, my Lord. As the Honorable said, the whole world know Marcus Garvey Selassie, but Christ was always the mystery man, my Lord. Because it had different Christ. This one is our Christ, that one 16 different saviors that crucified Christ, what they say. But Emmanuel, King Emmanuel, come with the law of Father Moses, my Lord. Exodus chapter 20 and 31. The vow number 6. Deuteronomy chapter 28. From you obey, curse if you disobey. So his laws, precepts, and commandments, King Emmanuel, come with my Lord.
Yes,
Now, my Lord, without a moment, I just want to say something. In the first advent, Christ come through the lineage because Christ is of the seed of Abraham, David, and comes straight through the lineage, my Lord. Right? To Joseph and Mary, to fulfill such prophecy at that time. Come through our mother and our father lineage. Now, through to the death of Christ, we show you like it's 33 years because the idea comes within the scripture, some 12 years, about 33, 34 years within the works of Christ, my Lord and Empress. So within 33 years now, my Lord, death and resurrection power. Emmanuel come back and say, he's the man. Christ say, he's the man who had the key for heaven and hell. He could open, and when he opened, no one shut it. And when he shut it, no one opened, my Lord. He say, you have power over the grave. These are the kind of titles and utterance Christ prove himself to be, my Lord. So Melchizedek, who come in this time, right now, Christ ain't go come back as a baby, my Lord, right now to grow again within the understanding. I ain't seen it so. So that means that the whole amount of prophecy and history now going on fulfill again. All right, this is a question we got to ask. When we say Melchizedek, who is Melchizedek?
Emmanuel.
Melchizedek is a title given, my Lord, to such man, King Emmanuel, because of his character.
True.
And the order.
True.
My Lord and Empress.
True,
So
God.
when we say Melchizedek now, my Lord, he appeared. What we go say he come without father and mother. He come to fulfill prophecy in this time,
True.
my Lord. To fulfill now, to fulfill the works of Father Moses in Egypt. He will come like a child, the time too short. The prophecy don't pass for that. Right now the prophecy come and fulfill. Scriptural, my Lord, he appeared as a lightning from the east to the west, you know, verse and chapter. Verse and chapter.
True.
Again, my Lord. Again, my Lord. It
To
has
my
something.
Lord.
My Lord, again, my Lord. It has something what take place, my Lord. And I want the eye and them and the word to go in that book the Rastafarians, Rex Netterford, when he was in Emmanuel, personally, there is not no second talk or there is straight direct reasoning. Leonard Barnett asks the man, you know, because he say, King Emmanuel, you claim to be Melchizedek, and you know what King Emmanuel say? He appeared in the parish of St. Elizabeth in 1915, fulfilling the book of Hebrews chapter 7, my Lord.
Sure.
Tiny mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So then, he will come back again, my Lord, in this time to fulfill such mystery, which is Melchizedek title, because it's our title. Christ always they come in from Genesis to Malachi, my Lord, is the acts of the prophets. Is Christ working, you know? Christ working, my Lord. Christ working there. And then now the picking up now and Matthew coming to Revelation. Is Christ working there again?
True.
So it's a fulfillment of Christ in every dimension, my Lord, moving through Melchizedek, the character, the title, the order.
True.
Rastafari.
My Lord, heart and love. I will give someone the floor again, myself for more input. Rastafari, my Lord.
Give thanks, Jack Lockie, for such prophecy, you know. We had two hands raised, Honorable Jasik, and then Prophet Joseph was next. So Jasik, the floor is yours, and we'll call on Prophet Joseph next.
Yes, my Lord, give thanks for the words, all right, Honorable Jack Clark, my Lord.
True.
Yeah, give thanks, my Lord, because, you know, the Black Christ, yeah, man never lie, my Lord.
True.
So when the Black Christ come and tell me now, it's Hebrews chapter 7, and you read Hebrews chapter 7 now, and it's without father, without mother, without beginner days. And man had to take that seizure because of the words of Christ himself speaking. So we come and know now Marcus Garvey, he have a bond there. We know Selassie have a bond there because the man born in this dispensation. But Emmanuel now come and teach we 7th January now is the Black Christmas. And that a son is given, a son is born, right? Right. No man could say he's 90 years or he's 100 years. No man could say that, my Lord. Emmanuel is 100 or 90 years. The book that's sitting right now, Angela now, me know where she get a book, me know where she get the information from, but it seems like she get from King Emmanuel Orphan, my Lord. You over that my summary there still, because the Lord said unto my Lord, sit on my right hand. So last time himself is Melchizedek, and the Black Christ himself come after the order of Melchizedek, come to fulfill the prophecy of his father. He come to fulfill his father glory, the works of his father. He come as a servant to fulfill the works of his father. And he really show he come in 1915, my Lord, he appear. So you come and see now, he fulfilled Hebrews chapter 7 naturally. The Black Christ, when he speak, is that, my Lord, the words of truth. So you know, so enough man say, man, I'm born in Jamaica and this thing, but there's no proof for that, my Lord. I have no proof.
None.
But paper, not all, my Lord.
None.
But Black Christ is the mystery man, my Lord, as the Honorable Virgin say, my Lord. The Black Christ in flesh. You see, man had to really, man can slightly less than the Black Christ. Man gave me full honors, my Lord, because he was strong above all his fellows. So you love righteousness and hate lawlessness. Jah anointed above I and I, my Lord.
True.
Yeah, my Lord. And the man had the keys to everything, my Lord. So you know, Jah put everything in his hands. Even though we see right now, not everything put in his hands yet. But we know it done set. As Psalms 8 show, you know, the Lord has put all things under his feet.
Yeah,
Lord made him that dominion over all things, you know. Yeah, the Black Christ in flesh, you know. Yeah, my Lord.
Man.
The Black Christ. Give thanks for the man, my Lord. What a worthy man, you know. Holy Emmanuel. That's the man. Rastafari.
Yes, John. Give thanks, my Lord and my Lord. Prophet Joseph, you can unmute yourself, Bobo. The floor is yours.
Blessed love, my Lord, and Empress. Give thanks again for all the reasoning, my Lord, for the heart of celebration going through same way and for the Sabbath going by. For the day of reasoning, my Lord. And yes, my Lord, I would just like to, well, glorify the word of the honorable prophets and the honorable empress who have given their testimony and who have tried to come to a reasoning and a clearance about this topic, my Lord. We thank for our Father Melchizedek, the Black Christ, which is the high priest of Salem, the same Aman, the same Lord of the Sabbath.
Yeah, man.
So we see say right now upon this topic about King Emmanuel being a man without father and mother, and I really see to the perspective that the man really is talking about him being the first Christ. We see we hear him when him reason about him having a vision of him being the first Christ from creation. And well, the way I see it, because it is himself who put this word even in the principal sheet where it says Melchizedek without father and mother. So I see the man really recognize he's teaching us about his selfless character, where he really recognized himself with the first Christ from creation, because we know Sabbath is a commandment that comes from creation, that comes from the beginning of time. So we know when we read the prophecy about Melchizedek, is talking about a man that has no beginning of days, nor end of days. So we know our Father, the way I see it is our Father really teaching us about his character, which is the character that he wants us to manifest in ourselves, being a ever-living character. You know, see? It's like Bobo Shantiada, when he come and teach us about Bobo Shantiada, him teach us it is an adder that comes from beginning of creation. So we now see it is in that meditation, I see, well, he's teaching us about the ever-living character of this adder. That is, well, a remembrance that he comes to teach the Black House of Israel for it to manifest in I and I forever throughout our generations. So, well, I see the man is a natural man, same way, my lord. You see the man, Emmanuel Charles Edwards, well, as them call it, Bongo Eddie. There is a lot of words that come from, well, Bobo Shanti and Rastafari culture, where them say that old people, when they know him, they said that when they know him, he was old and they were young, and he was old already. But I see that what this reasoning manifest is that the man himself manifests a character of an ancient man from creation, that he come and teach us about the Sabbath, which is the beginning of time, from beginning of time. So I really see it is this concept, this office him come to teach us about is an ever-living office that was from creation and must last forever. So it is for us to embrace his words with understanding and really see that in this time, that same character that he manifests, him look for to teach us about this character, so that we also manifest. And we all come from a mother and a father. We all know when we were born, well, most of the times, most of the cases, when or from where we come from, or from who we come from. But we know, so we try to embrace this character that really goes beyond time. You know, see, it comes from the beginning of creation, which is the Sabbath teaching and the love teaching and the Melchizedek order. We are supposed to embrace that teaching and manifest that character of a man without father and without mother when it comes to the levity we are living. But the man is just a natural man, my lord, that wanted to manifest such character from creation. So we do give thanks for the first Christ from creation that manifests in this time, the 21st century, to teach us, yes, the love and the character of a righteous man in flesh, a man, Holy Manuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Give thanks, Prophet Joseph, for that, clearance. The next hand that's up is Honorable Priest Dougie. My Lord, you can unmute yourself and the floor is yours.
Yes, beloved.
Lord.
Greetings to the royal house, Give thanks for all the settings of the Congress, from the golden candlesticks, right down to the guard that hold up the banners of love, to the captain where captain the ship, to our father, the founder of the ship, I, man, really want to, get a full understanding where the man is going with the reasoning, because, the father, teacher, and I, we use earthly things and mark heavenly things. So, I and I must always meditate the thing with understanding or overstanding. Now, I, man, know that from a time, from the early 70s, from 1970. When I met the father was still pretty young, and I watched the father age. So I watched the father go through the normal process of humanity. I also know where the father come from, when born, and when family line. I didn't get to meet him mother and father, but I know ones that knew his parents. I don't know why we think that we have to create a certain mysticism around the man to make the man who he is. The man works stand for himself. The man said, if you don't know me from my word, know me from my works. See? We don't have to create a supernatural element around the man for the man to be who he is, the Black Christ. And the man works manifest that I am. Saying, the father come teacher and I say, man and woman have a right is God and goddess. Saying, what is man? And how does man come into earth? Through procreation. Saying, the understanding of the order, man without mother, without father. I and I must go back to the origins of creation. Energy, as science has proven, cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. Christ being the ultimate energy, because the ultimate energy is the energy of truth and right. Christ being the ultimate energy, see, cannot be created, nor cannot be destroyed. The office of Christ remain continually. Just like Haile Selassie the first. And I watched the father. I personally watched the father go through some pain in him last year. When him the father hurt him hip and go through certain things. I watched him go through what any other human would go through. And as a matter of fact, him go through some unnecessary suffering because man and man who did surround him, just acknowledging the God side of him and never acknowledge the human side of him. I and I have to see the Almighty from both the human side and the divine side, Rasta. We understand the fullness of him. Because if I and I want to go and check him from the divine side, then it have no relevance to I and I who claiming that I and I is purely human, coming to a mother, woman, a father line. But if him also came through the same process and elevate himself to where I and I confine him, then we know that I and I also can reach that heights. These are the realities that we have to look into. The man do have to walk on water. I and I acknowledge him and give him the due honor that is due to him. I and I need to come out of the religious mindset, Rastafari, see, and tap into I and I spirituality. Because I and I spirituality lead I and I to the comforter, the word of truth. And instead of trying to prove the supernatural character of the man, and I look at the human character of the man and see how great the man is to be able to manifest the divine in that human character. And I is priest after the order of Melchizedek. Who is Melchizedek? The ancient divine energy that rose up from creation to establish the word of truth and right and righteousness. See, now as Christ, you know, what the man is teaching I and I to do is to be selfless, as I hear one of the brethren say a while ago. That selfless nature. I man use the word all the while, that altruistic nature. You know, the word altruistic means selfless, giving. I office is a service office. I come to minister to the spiritual and temporal needs of I people. We are human. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we're walking in this human temple, just as the Father did. You know. Now, whether we want to prove him having a father or mother, that is really not the essence of this whole order. Essence of the order is that this is an order that purges you, that teaches you how to save your soul alive, as the man said. It teaches you how to cleanse your spirit, cleanse the goodie, so the goodie can be right and right with the man. That means that I and I become as the man, as the father, as the son. And if the man too much and come back, we can't get when we want to establish supernatural is the man livity rasta. The man devote himself to the
phone are dry, you're not hearing. Daniel?
Yes, nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, when I'm asked the man in purpose, the man say him come for finish the work of Marcus Garvey. See, and the man say him come for finish the work where Marcus Garvey start. What is the work of Marcus Garvey? The work of Marcus Garvey was to rise forward the African nation and place them back in their rightful stead. Put them back where they deserve to be. We were the first created, the first that walked the earth, the first that acknowledged the divinity in man. See, the first that was able to manifest, you know, the civilized way of life. You know, civilization came down the Nile. It came down from I and I heavenly home. See, that means it came from I and I ancestors. And then it went to the world. So the man said, come for re-establish that reality. Put back the African continent and the African people in their rightful position. That is the work of I and I. See, manifesting the truth and the right that him, I and I, Father, had established from creation. See, so that is the work of the house of praise. See, in the supernaturality, it's like I hear a virgin. As a matter of fact, I hear Mutabaruka himself say it on the radio to one at a time. So if you take away all the titles of High Majesty, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Selassie I, it doesn't make him any different. If you take away the title of King of Kings and Lord of Lords and all of them titles, it don't change who he is. The Melchizedek, the Christ, the I am that I am, the Most High, it don't change that because it's the man livity that make him who he is. Not the titles, not the supernatural, you know, elements that we want to apply to him. You know, we develop that mentality from Christianity because Christianity will make it look like if the man walk on water and all of those miracles that them claim that he did, then it's not him. See? But I like to look upon the practicality of life. And as the man said, take earthly things and mark heavenly things. See? So if the man is not human, then how does his way apply to humanity? So, I will leave it there for now and listen and join in again as we continue the conversation.
Give thanks, Honorable Priest Dougie, for contribution to the reasoning still. I just wanted to say the next hand raised is Ja Winston, but before I call on you, my Lord, just give me one moment to kind of tie a few things together still for the listeners, the watchers on YouTube and all of us too, to bring the reasoning together. Because I really don't think really what the priest just said and what the brethren were reasoning as far as like the, biblical prophecy and things about Melchizedek. I don't think they really contradict each other. It's really just a matter of how we look at it.
Sure.
Because the birth of earth now, the birth of Christ is not limited. Like the first Christ existed before, like, all right, the word made flesh is Christ, right? The world itself, the earth and everything therein is the word made flesh. When Jah said, let there be light and let there be land and water and, animals and all that stuff, he's speaking word, and these things, because of his power, become flesh. They become a reality. So the birth of Christ is without mother and without father, and it's without beginning of time, no end of days, because Christ exists long before any calendar or months or, you know what I mean? So it's just a reality that, yes, the natural man, King Emmanuel, that we see, he had a beginning. And, when I say he had a beginning, his flesh had a beginning. It came from somewhere and it had a end, and the tomb, if you will, is still there, we all know that he dropped his flesh in May of 1994. So that's the reality, So we couldn't, try to make it seem like something that it's not, but we can understand it in a way where it does make sense, because he did, teach us the Bible in hymn book way. So you can't, I would like to just say, me personally, when I hear these things, I always look to make sense of it, because I don't think he would point us to the Bible if he didn't really mean for us to really read and understand the Bible. But at the same time, when you read the Bible, you couldn't read it like how other people read it and take everything as literal. There's allegory, there's metaphysical things, there's all kind of, science and history and stuff inside of the Bible's pages, so it's just about how we look at it, and not to try and like stretch it to make it real, but just to find what is real about it, accept it for what it is, but what is it really telling you? Yeah, I think that's the healthiest way to really read the Bible. When we get into like trying to make reality fit into a myth, then we start finding problems, because myths are usually told in a way where it makes something really elaborate fit into a story that the human mind can perceive. Yeah, because the creation of earth is something you can't really even fathom. None of us can fathom how that was done. When it's written where it says God said, let there be light, we don't really vision His Majesty Haile Selassie sitting on a throne and saying, let there be light, and then all of a sudden a sun busts out of nowhere, that's not realistic, So yeah, it's just about how we look at things and how we understand things and try to be real and understand that, yeah, there is truth to the Bible, but it's not to be taken like as it is said, So read it with understanding, Yeah, somebody's wrong, but not the Bible, If it wasn't so, he wouldn't have told us so. So it's just for us to find the truth in it and really understand it in a way that really is understandable and not just what we want it to be or what fits what we want it to fit, Yeah, so with that being said, I would like to turn it over to Honorable Prophet Winston. You have the floor, Bobo, and everybody, just if you want to speak, just raise the eye hand and you certainly will be called on in the order that the hands are raised. Give thanks, my Lord and Empress.
Yes, my Lord. Give thanks again, Holy Emmanuel.
Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Give thanks for the house of the prophet. My Lord, one of the things we make King Emmanuel great, Jehovah is the only man in the order Rastafari, Jehovah, to take Marcus Garvey word and turn it into salvation, to fulfill the Bible, John, the Christ walk, is the word the man take, because when you look upon him and chorus and thing what he make with God, you could go in anyone the tabernacle in Rastafari, never find Jehovah's nothing like what King Emmanuel make for Marcus Garvey. So we see him as real. But the priest says something they just now, and I want to show the priest now. See, in the beginning is the word, and the word was with God, and that word is God. You see, and the word take unto itself flesh. The word create and it can destroy, King Emmanuel said this the way he be, and I will be also, they say no illusion. Jehovah, this is a Zion chat. Jehovah, you feel a compound out and you're going to put out fit on stone, This is a Zion chat, Rasta. Jehovah, they say no illusion, This is the seen and the unseen, Jehovah. King Emmanuel, really, if the road with Jah chat was a rotten road, Jah would have never chat the road, because him create life, Jehovah, him know the highest of life, There is a road we can open up, Jehovah, from Zion to earth. They say no illusion, I burn chalice every day. This is what I see through the chalice meds, King Emmanuel real, Jehovah, the seat. And I say to the item, the more I read, the item could climb to find the spirituality power. Is the most stronger we becomes within flesh, Jehovah's is a balance. You see, we can't be running to doctor every minute for heal ourselves. Jehovah's the seat. We are too strong within the spirituality powers. And with the priest said it just now, I feel the energy the same, we still love the same priest, but I feel the energy because the road the King Emmanuel Chad, Jehovah's is not a wrong road. Jah real, Jah ain't die, Jah is alive. You could look in all in the moon and see King Emmanuel. Because if you look on the priestical Psalms of Rastafari, which is Psalms 19, Melchizedek Psalm, the more pure you be, the more you see. The commandment is so pure. Once you live in you can see everywhere. I see you all, my Lord. You see it, I don't even have to look behind I for see. I just watching in front and still seeing behind, my Lord. I see them powers they open up. So I know the Emmanuel. It's a spiritual power. We ain't come teach. Look at how long Revelation 5, right? Haile Selassie, I pay 1892 and fulfill the book of Revelation, my Lord. Come fulfill the word. King Emmanuel come fulfill the same word to my Lord. Revelation 5. Jehovah's the same. So we give thanks again for the word and just the overstanding and the clearance of Zion. This is a Zion chat. Don't forget this chat. This is a Zion chat. You see, because man have to know, Jehovah's Bubble Shanti will always be put out. If you ain't carrying a faith, Jehovah's you're going to know it's a Zion chat. Because man have faith nothing, Because man, anyway, Emmanuel and Selassie I did. I ain't idea, I ain't faith nothing. So from I know them man is the Almighty I saw. Why go frighten and favor? It's a Zion chat, my Lord, Jehovah's. Be clean, be pure, be upright, and you see yourself in Zion. Fulfillment of prophecy and history, Jehovah's the seed, because the prophet see everything. Give thanks again for the reason in the house of the prophet, even the priest and the empress same way, Give thanks again for life, the first day of the week, Today's I'm out strong same way.
Oh, my Lord. Blessed all the celebration, my Lord. Double celebration.
My Lord, give thanks again, Yeah, same way. Give thanks to the love of the idea, man. Stay strong, more love, Mama Maisie, more strength and more glory. Same way.
Hello, Bobo.
Thanks.
Yes,
They said they're strong to the man majesty. 709 miles of black eye water ship, Bobo.
Yes, Goddess. More love and more strength and more protection throughout.
More respect.
Glorify. Give thanks, my Lord. Happy celebration. Give thanks for another time around the sun, Hope that you can see many, many more in this flesh.
Yeah, true, my Lord. I 54 to them, my Lord. I 54 to them, my Lord,
Hey.
True,
yeah.
Hey, half of a century, man.
Yes, see, I have 4 grandchildren,
Blessed and strong, my Lord. Blessed and
Give thanks
strong.
again to my Lord. Give thanks again for the love, my Lord, and the care.
You just begin, Bobo.
Thanks.
Yes, my Lord. Yes.
Thanks for spending your birthday with us, you know. Give thanks.
Always. There's I bought then, my Lord. There's I out strong, no matter what. This Bobo Shanti, and I know else so good than Bobo Shanti, my Lord. True.
Give thanks, my Lord. So the next hand raised, Honorable Prophet Carlton. I did see a next hand, but it went down. Yeah, if you raise your hand, just keep it up because I ain't gonna remember always. All right, Prophet Clark will be next. John Carlton, the floor is yours, my Lord.
Bless the love, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks in a heart of celebration.
Bless the
Black
Lord.
Christmas, you know. Man says 7 days, you know, of celebration. So give thanks for, you know, such celebration going through. Give thanks, Jordan, you know, for broadcasting such, you know, things, you know, to I and I. You know, such service direct from the headquarters, you know, that can be done so diligently, you know, and organized, you know, and that's the main thing, you know, and all that we can catch a joy, you know. So we give thanks for that, you know, and all ones and ones who took part, you know, at the camp and worldwide to make it happen, you know. Hope it is something that can be done, you know, and developed on still in the future. So give thanks. Yes, Joe Winston, did I say it was 54?
Yes.
54. Wow, black don't crack for real, you know. Yeah. I would have never believed that still, you know.
True, my Lord. True, my
Yeah.
Lord.
Give thanks, my Lord, at the celebration going through.
But
yeah, back to topic now, you know. Pardon me, my Lord.
True, my Lord. Go along, my Lord.
Yeah, give thanks for the eye, you know, celebration also, you know, double celebration going through, you know. Holding it for my Lord, holding the youth in the eye, you know.
True, God.
Yes, honorable. Back to topic, you know, on the Christ, you know, just listening to what's going on and you know, what's being said, you know, Melchizedek, you know, relationship to Christ, you know, relationship to, you know, King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, you know, in these times there. So it's all, you know, a relationship thing, you know, which I and I have that relationship too, you know. It's just about who come and stand up in them times because like one say, you know, is no need to put holy mysticism, you know, because things happen, you know. When God is moving, you know, things just happen. So someone will come and stand up, you know, and it's look up to us, you know, to look unto them, you know, and make them the Christ, really, you know, by being them being an example to us, you know, and us following, you know, to spread that message, you know, because one man alone couldn't do it still, even though one man started it, you know, I will have to continue. So without mother and father, you know, as Melchizedek is spoken, there's no record of his, you know, birth or death, you know. But true, we know reality, you know, these things would have to be there. But many historical, you know, documents, you know, will tell you they don't know when a man died, but they know when he was born. I don't know when he was born, and so on. So I just see this as this, you know, and the message within it, you know, like ones I've said, you know, is something eternal, you know, that come from creation, you know. Your mother or father didn't teach you it, you know. Even I was brought up in Christianity and Muslim and these things there, and you know, we come back and left our mother and father teaching. Some of us don't even, you know, I never raised with my mother and father still. So I could say I don't have mother and father. So it's a term of speaking still. But even within King Emmanuel's saying it now, you know, is the same way Christ 2,000 years ago they used it, because we know that there was a record of him having a mother, well, and a father, as Baba Shanti know it. But you know how some people, you know, it's been mentioned that, you know, he come of a virgin birth, and virgin just mean pure still, you know. So Mary was a pure woman, you know. So we know the interpretation of that Joseph was the father, you know, the paternal father, you know, but being a son of God, you know, being an anointed one, that they don't come from his father or his mother, you know, that they just come from a blessing from the Most High. So it's about, just the terms of speaking and understanding the ways, that Christ himself called himself, the return of Melchizedek. And we know that he had a mother. At least we could argue with the father, being Joseph. Well, we could argue with the world with that, but he used those terms to say, the message he's coming with is Melchizedek's message that had no mother and father. So the same way King Emmanuel Charles Edwards came with that message there, and there's mysticism even behind the birth of Christ and behind the birth of, Charles Edwards, because he didn't talk too much about it. His former life, all things have passed away, so to speak, So even Jesus Christ in the Bible, between the age of his birth, after he was born, you didn't hear much about him till he was 33. So really and truly, what was he doing? Was he like me and you when we were that age, drinking and smoking and chilling, Maybe, we don't know. Pardon me?
Having girls?
Maybe, we don't know. He's an ordinary man,
18 years of his life, we don't really know, what happened.
Exactly. So the same thing with King Emmanuel. King Emmanuel, he said he was working in a military yard and took a fall and got the revelation, and basically became the Christ, from that time there. So we don't really know much about before because it don't really matter, it don't really matter unless we're gonna, so we too not really to hold on to too much of the mysticism like ones I've said. And look, within reality is that Christ, the title we've spoken about what it is, being anointed, and the anointed one in this time, was King Emmanuel, who came, as that priest king, because Melchizedek also was a priest king, king of Salem being Jerusalem, so, it's interchangeably used, Salem and Jerusalem. So, being the city of peace, well, meant to be, as we don't see in these ages, as we mentioned. So we give thanks for understanding, but the message Christ come with now is passed on to each and every one of us now from them times. And it's like we've not been holding on to it all them thousands of years ago. It come down to now there. It's like we're looking for one person to come back and we have to realize we have Christ within us and we have to elevate that. And, that is the main message, I find that King Emmanuel came to show us, in his lowly, down in the bottomless pit, in Jamaica, Egypt called, land of slaves, Egypt is a term that, mean to be enslaved, So, yeah, for Christ to come and do that, King Emmanuel, in these times and now, to be our savior, to show us, good in so much bad, that is what made him Christ. And through the world is getting even darker, we have to rise up as Christ among us to show that light and, bring things to a betterment. So we give thanks for the listening ears, that is just my view on, the whole scene of what Christ means to us, and the message, and some of the confusion, within the, titles that, the man used. He calls himself Father Abraham, Melchizedek, Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, So he calls himself a Nazarite as well. So enough titles, a man will take on, depend on what he can, what he can hold. So we give thanks, my Lord and Empress, time is moving through. I'm finished with, my few words, my Lord and Majesty. Give thanks.
Glorify my Lord, give thanks, Prophet Carlton. We had a hand up, Honorable Jasik, but Empress Maisie did want a reason, and also Priest Headley is on the program, and we haven't heard from him. So Jasik, we'll give the eye the floor since your hand is up. Empress Maisie, the eye is next, and then Priest Headley will call on the eye after that.
Put that in front of me, Bobo.
Okay,
Yeah.
Priest Headley and then Empress Maisie. Y'all seek, the floor is yours, my Lord.
Your blessed love, my Lord and Empress,
Worthy.
Prince
My
and
Lord.
Princess.
My
Yeah,
Lord.
you know, the mighty God we serve, my Lord. I just want you all to reference to, you know, after Christ and right it third day, you know. These things are mysticism, my Lord. These things are just naturally power of God, you know. Christ rise it third day, my Lord, you know. And it was even seen by the disciples and them before, you know. He has sent it to Holy Mountain, my Lord. Just the Holy Scripture share Christ has sent, and he sits right hand of his Father, my Lord. Christ has the power to ascend, my Lord. It's not no magic, it's no mysticism, my Lord. That's natural reality, so, you know. When Moses is born, my Lord, right? It's that prophecy before Moses is born that a Savior will come to save the Israelites. So Pharaoh now, the king of Egypt now, he had a plan to kill off enough babies. Just natural.
Natural.
When Christ is born, Joseph and Mary, Herod the king, he killed off enough babies. Rachel born, cry for she children. Rachel represent all black women them time they still, you know. The multitude of babies, Herod killed them to find Christ. The book of Daniel now show the prophecy of Christ coming. The white world check it up and come to 1915. Jehovah's Witnesses, the Seventh-day Adventists. They know when Christ was returned on earth. 1915. Babylon naturally will look to kill Christ again, my Lord. Because they know the prophecy same way. So Christ, when they think Christ is going born, Christ appeared. The Virgin Honorable Clark, he say he have a book called the Rastafarian. We man was not interviewed. Christ was interviewed. And the Virgin asked him how he, when he might tell the Virgin when he's married, check that Hebrews chapter 7. The Virgin asked him, so how he came? Because the Virgin knew the prophecy, Melchizedek without father, without mother. So the man asked him, if he's Melchizedek, how he came? And the man tell him he appeared in the parish of St. Elizabeth, 1915. Before I go forward, before I close up, I have a few verses to read here from the book of St. Matthew chapter 24. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, continuing from verse 21. Matthew chapter 24. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not sin to the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened, I and I. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he's in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, as the lightning coming out of the east and shine even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the man be. Christ shall coming like a lightning from the east to the west. Even in this last days here, when Christ come to redeem I and I. How are you think Christ coming, my Lord? Question, my Lord. Blessed love, honorable. Blessed love.
Give thanks, Prophet. So next, Honorable Priest Headley would like to give the other floor. I don't know if you want to try and answer the question the brethren asked, or if you know, but the floor is yours. You can speak. Topic is Christ, you know, the office of Christ. Priest Headley.
Blessed love, royal family.
Blessed love, my Lord.
Oh, give thanks again, my Lord, for, another day, of our study group. Give thanks also for the celebration of our Black Christmas, Yes, praises and thanksgiving unto, the birth of our mighty King. Holy Emmanuel, I.
Yeah, Jah.
Rastafari.
Give thanks again, for the royal family, yes, of who is to be in this time, my Lord. Christ man, Christ womb man, most high. Last, yeah.
Yeah, Rastafari.
Yeah, give thanks again, royal family, as we talk about, our Father, especially in this dispensation, For I came up as a youth, hearing about Christ, and in those times, the emphasis are what is believed on this Lord Jesus, our Lord Jesus, because remember, Jesus pronounced Jesus, and they pronounce it Jesus. So we know we're talking about the same personality, whether they seem more spiritual, than physical, because only I and I come and identify him physical. But our people see him spiritual, and believe me, a lot of them is very, very spiritual. Most eyes, yeah.
Yeah, Rastafari.
Which is what I don't really find, that deep spirituality amongst us as brothers, as sisters, And this is where our Father really was trying to bring us forward to that deep spirituality of ourselves, to know that he lives in us, because he told us, he said, my Lord, in the flesh, out the flesh, I am the same man. The flesh is only a garment that I change when I am ready. This robe of flesh I drop, and rise. So, beloved, it behooves us to live as he is, because he comes as a sample to us to show us how to live, and we are not living that way. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word is God. The Word take unto itself flesh and dwell in us. Not amongst us, in us. This is why they are confused with Melchizedek, because it's the same spirit from that time to this time, my brethren. All of us reincarnate, recycle, coming from that time to this time. Only that he is the incarnated, we are the reincarnated. Yes. And who had the power from them time to appear, disappear, but we lost that because of, the evil principalities and powers are taking over, and take us from our heavenly home. Some of us didn't fly off the boats. So, beloved, my beloved brothers, sisters, in this time, this is why we even get the Bible, the livable, take the good out of it, or the part that concern us, and leave the other part that don't concern us. And the Bible really teaches us how to live as a Christ man, as a Christ woman, because we get the example as how he did live, how he did move, yes. Everywhere he went, he was doing good, yes. And remember, God come out of good, yeah. So we need to put forward that little awe, spirituality of goodness forward into the gods and become good again, yeah. Holy Emmanuel, I.
Selassie, I. Jah, Rastafari.
The difference with I and him is that he lives it and we talk about it, yeah.
Hey.
So we have to start living it most high. Selassie, I.
Jah, Rastafari.
Yes, beloved, give thanks again. I will say that for this moment. Anyone who have a question differently, I will, be here. Give thanks.
Give thanks, priest. All right. As said, I will give it to Empress Maisie, but then we have two hands. We have Prophet Winston and then Priest Dougie again. So Empress Maisie, the floor is yours.
I differ, bro.
Okay. All right, give thanks. Prophet Winston, my Lord, the floor is yours.
Give thanks again, my Lord, for the word of right, Give thanks again for the way of life, Thanks again for King Emmanuel, same cousin. God is all type of people, So I don't really come for, judge no one same way. As you see, the man say leave our judgment unto him. I just come to do my Father work to redeem Israel, to teach Israel and to show Israel, Jehovah's the line the same way. I help up my brother same way, So I say now within Rastafari, within Baba Shanti, within the priestly culture of Rastafari, right? There's more to it, because many shall be called, only a few shall be chosen. It's him do that, it's him have the power, the force and the final say. King Emmanuel is him choose the priest, it's him choose every man. As much as a man might want to choose the brethren to be a priest on the altar, it only can work for a time, they don't work forever. Whereas King Emmanuel is the chooser, and it go come a time, when the altar go build, you see it within every part of country and island of a person, because it's a universal congress, an international congress, I think we left up a lot of things to ones and ones within Bobo Shanti order to do what they feel like within the Congress and within the priestly order, because we never questioned them before, But in this time here right now, we are going to see the truth kind of reveal itself, Ones and ones can't hide, it will reveal itself. And Jah, as you have the force and the final say, God holy in because King Emmanuel sure say, not for them say Selassie, Japan, Selassie this and Selassie that. And King Emmanuel say, we show the people them that Haile Selassie step off of the honor of the wide world to ride upon his creation shown. The man live in I, is in I, the man holy in I. That's why I say holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, because the man holy in I. So it's just holiness man I live right now, as Bobo walk holy, Bobo talk holy, and we can't judge no one because this is the land that they live in. We're living in the land that they live in. You see it, we make ourselves right and be pure. You also see it up in Zion, because Zion is a holy place. It's just Ethiopia alone. Anyone can run go Ethiopia right now. Everyone can go home. But it's to climb in the meditation of Zion and to live in forever, because it's a chosen order. You're going to know if you die or if you live, I ain't questioning it, but you have a conscience. So you're going to know if you don't die or if you're still living. So it will come a time when your conscience will even make you set yourself in a position, as them say, conscience set you free same way, So God live in all flesh, Not for we take King Emmanuel too simply, Because enough man turn back and take off the turban and do all kind of things. That's why I see we have a strong parliament today. You come and doubt each other, King Emmanuel. But if you live amongst God, you must know God, You live amongst God, and you could see, you could pray. You see it. And once you could see within the powers, you must know if King Emmanuel God. You see it. You have to be in Jamaica for no King Emmanuel is God. You could be in any country and know the man is God, because you could pray and you could see. Haile Selassie, I say one of the best relationships to have is one-on-one with God. I always remember that is a speech of Selassie. So that is why I come for live. You see through the powers of Rastafari. I don't let no one within a mental capacity so easy, because they don't know go so much through the powers. They have a jealousy and they have a hate for King Emmanuel may even give you same so. Which are holy. That's why I just show you that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty, King Emmanuel, You see it. Because he is my refuge, my fortune, It's him what I trust, Surely shall deliver him and save me from his source of from midnight. Pestilence. He shall cover me. You see, so it's just through the powers of Psalms. So if you find Jah Winston, you only go find Jah Winston in the book of Psalms every day now. Meditating and holding the powers of King Emmanuel. You see it, you know. When I go upon my knees, I block 7 Psalms before I go to my bed without looking in the book. And I know the Psalms and them too. That is my praise. When I rise up in the morning, I block 7 Psalms again. Upon my knees again before I block I creed. Jehovah, you see it. Anywhere I go, I kneel and pray Psalms. Even though I be up in the plane flying, it's 7 Psalms without touch the book. Jehovah, and warrior Psalms too. So I chat with Psalms all the night. I vision, I see Psalms chatting through the night. Like heat wave, the world walking with I side eye, you know. So I know Selassie, I live in I and I. You see it. So it's a powers where Israel come fulfill, which is the book of Psalms, which is the root of David. Because highly Selassie, I say, you know, we start from the root of Solomon, you know, so nothing get licked same way still, you know. You know, Rastafari, you know, if we turn on the judgment, you know, we lick nothing same way. Because them can't show we certain truth. Jehovah's within certain pronunciation of word. But just because we trust in King Emmanuel and Selassie, I say, read the Bible a clean heart and a firm meditation if you find truth in it same way. You see it? So we always hold them powers the same way through the powers that we hold in Rastafari. We obey King Emmanuel laws. We ain't just saying King Emmanuel, you know. We might even come into the tabernacle because you see the condition and because Jamaica is a violent place. You have your family. You can't come to the tabernacle because ones and ones afraid, ones and ones go hurt you and all them things. So the man in Jamaica forget it right. So international people can come in and feel free in God's house same way. Jehovah, that way walk pan same way through the powers of King Emmanuel. So we knees, Jah Winston is the knees of Ethiopia. You see, so we knees, I go clear up everything. When I pray, I stronger. If I rise up a morning and I don't pray, I just feel sick. If I take off my robe, I just feel sick. I can't do them things there. I have to, don't care what I'm doing. I have to have on my robe. And my strongest robe is my white robe.
My Lord.
I cleanliness and pureness, my Lord. More love and more strength. Give thanks to the word, my Lord.
Honorable.
Pleasure.
Give thanks, my Lord. True.
Sure.
The next hand, Honorable Priest W. You can reason, my Lord. The floor is open. Give thanks. You have to unmute yourself first, my Lord.
Yes, beloved. Give thanks for the privilege to speak. Yeah. First of all, I give thanks for my brethren and my brother, Priest Edley, for the sound that him just block.
Royal Majesty.
Yes, my brethren. They always make things simple and easy for over, And just as I say, it's just so it go. See, the father, both Haile Selassie the First, the Honorable Prophet Marcus Garvey, and our father, King Emmanuel, they all came to teach I and I one thing about I and I self. That have a thing black to I man. And I know it's not just to I man. He must have blocked it to others as well, but I just give an account of myself. I always say one problem I'm finding with Ras and Ras is that them esteem His Majesty and leave themselves undone. Like the man say, him hear there I say, what Jeremiah say, what Isaiah say, what John say, and so forth and so on. But what I and I say, because I and I is the manifestation of the truth as well. And as a house of priests, we represent the energy of truth. The man them never come for teach I and I so much of themselves, but they brought a message of salvation to I and I. One to another, how to rise that Christ nice. And the Honorable Priest I and I now live it. I and I have a lot of words that we speak, but our livity don't match those words, especially those that we keep on regurgitating from the Bible. And as well, we must remember now, these are versions of the Bible. Yes, we use whatever tool we have because we are the God and we can interpret the truth. You know, even when them codify it, we can decode it and interpret it. But the closer you get to the original version is the closer you are to the truth. And when you look in the Ethiopian liturgy, which is what I and I Liberty is based on, a lot of the interpretation of James' Bible is not in that liturgy. That's why the Father said, I and I for hold on what is I and I, what belong to I and left the rest on the south field. Because that don't apply to I and I. The Bible is symbolic. That means that it have truth in there, it have allegory, it have myth, and it also have some things to confuse I and I. Because that was spitefully done by who authorized the version. See? So what I and I must live to. That's why the Father coming up. Him is the living Bible. And him come, and if we listen to him words, follow him teaching, the Bible will become irrelevant because his teaching is so simple. You know, his way is so easy. The man say, him yoke light, him burden light, him yoke easy. You know, if I and I just try our work to do. Now, as a house of priests, we represent Christ. We are the Christ of this moment.
Natural.
We are the black Christ of this moment. And as such, I and I for live to the highest level of living. And if I and I to be judged now as a house, you know, we're coming up very short.
Yes. Yes.
Because we're not being our brothers and our sisters.
Keeper.
More coming like we want to be the judge of one another.
Yes.
We highlight, we're highlighting you know, our frailties, our imperfections, and we all have them. That's why we pray. We pray for strength. We pray for guidance. You know, we pray for courage to meet whatever face I and I really see. But we have to pray because we know say we're perfect, and from time to time, we're not because we chose to. We in a world that is corrupted. Every day we are tested by the evil that surrounds us. See, but you see, together, if we can find that brotherly and sisterly love with the Father, that is the armament the man talk about. Put on the breastplate of salvation. And the armament that the love of one another. When I'm on their camp, and I'm on say, I'm on, all right, let me use this as an example. An empress who up on our journey. And when she come out for the first day, free and in the field, and I buck up the empress, it give I and I such a joy.
Yes.
You know, for see one another after that moment. And the same way like when a bridging not in the camp. And then when him come and all a celebration, and I see him and see one another. The joy and strength where we get from that moment. You know, those are the essence of I and I, Rasta. That is what is truly I and I, the love. God, love is the God, you know. The man say love is God. So let us all love. The love is the God, you know. Not the other things them. The other things them is vanity and vexation and spirit. And the duty of each of I and I is to strengthen our brothers and sisters. Where we see we're bridging weak and him kind of fall off, you know, the pathway. It's not to judge him. It's not to look for him. It's to help him forward to the path. Because this is a game of numbers, you know. If we say, according to the Bible, 140 and 4,000, but we don't know, say, that is just a number that is there as an example. But whatever the number be, it's a power of numbers. And if it's a gathering, and we're gathering to a certain amount of numbers, so we can ascend to the next level. Each and every soul is precious and important. So instead of judging one another, we strengthen one another as Christ did I and I. Because I and I must always remember the same way we came to Christ, him accepted us. Him didn't accept us after we purge and we become Christ-like, Him accept we from we come. As a matter of fact, as one of the virgins said, is him call I and I. And when we answer the call and come, whether we come dirty, mud up, whatever it is, whether we come, is him clean we up and shine we up and put we in the white robe. So we know, say, we're pure again. It's that first love we want to find forward, my family. We want to get back to that love, where we know what is going on with each other. We are there to strengthen one another. Because
Yes.
a chain is only as strong as the weakest thing. So when we straighten up one another, we create a force. And then we can now use that force to move the barriers that stand before us. We're tired of down here now, We're tired of America and we're tired of the Western
My
world.
Lord.
And we want to go home and we are. And we are what is missing out of Africa, Africa awaits its people.
Creators.
Yes, Africa awaits its creators. It's I and I. Africa is waiting on to be whole again. Africa can never be whole again without I and I returning, Rasta. So the longer I and I stay out, is the more Africa suffer. So it's I and I outside of Africa, I and I out here to get it right. To take time out, to be patient with one another, to be tolerant, to be compassionate to one another, Rasta. See, help each of I and I to reach that stage where we vanquish sin, death, hell. None of that will have no more relevance to I and I when we reach to that levels. So I man give thanks, so we can have this reasoning. We're not going to agree on everything, but we have to agree on the one thing. Our Father come and teach us the love. And it's the love we have to find forward because it's the love that is missing. It's the love, is the salvation, All of the other words is just to help us to understand the love. All of those chapters and those lessons is to teach us the true love, the unconditional love, where we have to have in our heart and in our livity, in our action, that I and I can reach the next stage. Yes, my Lord, give thanks.
Give thanks, Honorable. Give thanks for the words of the elders, who really, didn't even know the man in flesh to really know what it is that he was like, because reading the Bible about King Emmanuel and reading even, say, like Black Supremacy book, and these different pamphlets and things, it really doesn't, it lets you know what he thinks, his ideology or his theology. But to know how he actually lived, you would have to know someone who was around him to see what kind of person he really was, and what message, what lifestyle it really was that he was trying to get through to the people, because yes, we find him in the Bible, we find Marcus Garvey in the Bible, we find His Majesty Haile Selassie I in the Bible, but now outside of the Bible, in reality, in the real world here, in the physical, realms, there was actual personality, and actual aims, ambitions, goals, some of those accomplished, some of those yet to be accomplished. You know what I mean? So the biblical scriptures is great, but it's not the fullness, and we shouldn't take, my opinion is that we shouldn't really try to make the real physical reality fit into the scripture, more so to understand how the scripture shows us what reality is. Yeah. So I would like to, there were some questions that were shared with us regarding this topic of Christ, because don't want to go too long on one aspect of it, you know, like, but let's see. Hold on one second. What does it mean to follow the exemplary character of Christ? You know, now I think Priest Dougie and then Priest Headley had just really kind of expounded on that. You know, the exemplary character of Christ is to love your brother, love your sister, to unite African people, the house of Israel, and show them how they are related to Africa and Africa related to them. Africa is in them, you know, to show us, you know, righteousness of salvation. So for us to follow that example would be for us, one, to live it, and two, to teach others so that they could see themselves and see, you know, like how the priest said, he put us back in our white. He didn't reject us because of our, you know, ways that come from the world. He came to show us another way, you know, different from the world, set us aside from the world and make us his own peculiar treasure, you know? Yeah. Someone asked, is His Majesty Christ in his kingly character? I would like, you know, to even leave that one open for the rest of the study group to even, you know, chime in. Is Christ, is His Majesty Haile Selassie I Christ in his kingly character? And also, is Jesus of Nazareth the first Christ? So I'll just leave those there, yeah, and ones can, you know, if you raise your hand, then, you know, the floor is yours still, but I would like for us to, you know, move forward still with the reasoning.
I would just love to say one thing on the responsibility that Christ really takes on, you know. The honorable prophet would say that anything that is not worth dying for is not worth living for, you know. And Christ took on the responsibility of being a sacrifice, you know. And this is the responsibility that I and I have to take on in this time, you know. Because to I see it, everyone is fear and afraid, you know, willing to really give up, you know, for his brother or his sister or himself, you know. And we have to be a sacrifice, you know. If it's even unto death, you know. That's where it reach right now. Because I can tell the item that the policy of the government down here in Jamaica at this moment is organized slavery. Meaning, my Lord, the shekel is coming back. That tell us all these things, you know? But him warn them, you know, and tell them that if they think they can work the people forward to that, they are making a sad mistake, you know? So the longer we linger down here, my Lord, is the more judgment we go and feel, you know? Until we born again, my Lord. Born again, you know, and sacrifice ourselves to do the right thing, my Lord. Righteousness, especially the fourth commandment, you know, that we at the headquarters find ourselves in gross violation of that, living under death sentence, most of us, you know. Yeah.
What is the fourth commandment, my Lord?
Anyone pollute the Sabbath day shall surely be put to death.
Okay. The foundation principle of the Congress is to keep the Sabbath holy.
And it starts from spiritual until the physical, you know. But we must know that death again has several different degrees, you know. This is why this morning, when we were using at the gatehouse, you know, that's a subject we touch, you know, because in the earlier time, my Lord, no man now use that, you know. That was a word where everyone did fear. Feared. Yeah. It was just, yes, because what? In the earlier time, Virgin wasn't looking that length of days would cause us to be still here. and so much angel have to pass away. You know, it was as if it was that time. And even our Father, in every Christmas or in every celebration, he would say, he prays the next one would catch us on the shores of, you know. You see? So this is a faith, my Lord, and a living sacrifice to stand up, to see that a governance that the man give us, you know, function as a governance, to deal with the false governance them, I meant them, government them, because they don't mean it, you know. And we need angels to do it. You know? We need angels to function. Yes. All who know what to do, you know, angels of high degree, you know, to come and do our Father's work, you know, because it is here. Right now, the amount of things that is being done under the EABIC and the millions that is being made under the EABIC, because we are rising to the top, you know, beloved. We are rising to the top. So now things look away to even turn off enough of the saints them too, you know. But my beloved brothers, my beloved sisters, now is the time, the repentance ground we must. I would like to ask a question, especially to the elder brothers, elder sisters. Our Father did gather us. Who and what scattered us? Most High, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. I would just ask that question, beloved. Give thanks again.
Say who and what scattered us, my Lord?
Yes, my Lord. After our Father did gather us.
Okay.
You know? Yes.
After.
Great question, I am. A very great question, my Lord.
Gather us, gather up us in love, and sin scatter us.
Natural.
That is the what? The who and what?
Because the man says sin is approach to all people same way, you know. That's why the man write the book of evil same way. Don't think evil and humanity face evil, you know. You see it. It's love we defend same way. It's love bring us together. It's love make us. It's sin separate us. And equality of us.
My Lord.
My Lord.
There is a science that was created by the evil world called divide and rule. You know that science, my Lord?
True, my Lord.
You know the depth of that science, my Lord?
True, my Lord.
That we find that
the man sure say it's a sin right now to be a flea in a white man color. Same parable, you know.
So my beloved, this is what has happened, you know. Yes. From that science can come amongst us, or we allow it to come amongst us. Because remember, you know, this Congress is the headquarters for fundamental human rights.
True.
Therefore, if we don't practice it or live it, my Lord, then, Blessed angel.
True, my Lord, we live in it, Bobo. You know, it might seem like we ain't living it, but we live in it same way because certain prophecy have to fulfill same way in Bobo Hill, you know. Yeah, but certain prophecy have to fulfill. Emmanuel said certain prophecy and it have to fulfill because if you study Psalm 149, so we say, this child is a generation unto a generation, you know. We come and declare this mighty act, you know, so I here now to set it in the youths and them and in the grand youths and them to come fulfill this work, you know. You see, because this work have to fulfill. The more this work go to the younger generation, the more pure this work becomes, you know, my Lord.
Well, my beloved brother, I am here waiting for the arts, you know, that really carrying art of equality, you know. Yeah.
Well, I show you, I say, I equal and just show you one thing.
Born equal. It's different from ministering equality to all, man, woman.
Well, from we come from the Christ. That's why we say we meditate this Christ, you know, because Christ shows equality. The meaning of Christ is equality. So we are the
Live it,
Christ, you know.
live
So,
it, live it, live it, live it, live it, live it,
just
live it,
living
live it,
it.
live it, live it, live it, live it, live it, live it, man, live it, man.
Yeah, we just living it, you know. So we just living it, you know, to the powers and holding ourselves on the Sabbath and try to be all upon the Sabbath and try to hold the principle of the Sabbath same way, you know. Just
Give
try,
thanks, give thanks,
try
give
it
thanks.
like that.
Pray the
Try
beloved,
and
pray the
more.
beloved, pray the Royal Majesty. The phone is going to cut off, right? And I won't be able to come forward because I'm going to a reasoning at the headquarters here now at 1 o'clock, right?
That before you, my lord.
Give thanks again, Angel. All blessing to my royal brothers, sisters, my Lord. Equality for all, you know, and we
True, my
won't have no
lord.
problem. We will be
My lord.
balanced.
True, my lord.
Give thanks for your presence, my Lord. Give thanks for your contribution to the reasoning, same way. Our guidance and protection.
Daddy, make sure so the phone charge and we can call later, yeah.
Love you, no, mama. Love always.
Blessing family.
Yes, I. It's a big point too, you know, that Christ, you know, being that this Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, as he said, is the headquarters for fundamental human rights, you know, the Christ character in the Bible, you know, really showed the people that same principle, but they don't really elaborate on that when they talk about Christ. They just, you know, more so talk about he died for your sins. And if you accept him as your savior, then you're saved and, you know, heaven after death and all of that stuff. But when it comes to now the man who showed the people that, you know, the government is not above you, you know, everyone is equal, everyone has rights, those type of things. You don't really hear so much about Christ, but Bobo Shanti now is for us to really, as he said, live it more than just talk about it.
True.
But it's a real reality, you know, that we have to show the world, you know, through action better than talking, but we have to know it still, you know, to know what is equality and justice for all. And, you know, that type of balance, you know, of man and woman and children, all the different colors of people, you know, ages. Yeah, there's so many different, as the divide and rule, you know, is the light skin against the dark skin, the man against the woman, the grandma against the daughter, and, you know, all of these different division, you know, but everyone should be equal. Is the way we should treat each other. Everybody's opinion matters. Everybody's feelings matter. Everybody's, you know, needs matter, you know, basic needs like food, clothes, and shelter. Your right to choose your nationality, all of these things, you know, the world heads of government disregard every day through, you know, slavery and all of these different things that we face through, you know, living in the West. And now it's all around the world. It's not just in the West still, even in the continent of Africa, the African is not equal, you know, to say the Chinese and the Indian and the European and everybody else who comes from all over the world to our heavenly home still. So that's another reality that we have to, you know, keep in mind as well when we think about Christ. It's not just, you know, mysticism and stuff like that. It's a practical reality that I think if we focus more on the practical reality of Christ and less on the mystical reality of Christ, then we would have a better life and we would be able to show the world a better ensample of righteousness, you know, of God and goddess and flesh, you know, because just to say, quote scriptures and things that confound people and that they can't understand, you know, is you know, it helps because it gets people's attention and it makes them want to know more. But what is the more now for them to know? You know, there's only so far you can go with the mystic reality, but the practical now is what really saves people. You know, quoting scripture doesn't save you. You know, reading Psalms helps, you know, in your life in a practical way, yes. But now how you treat people is more practical, you know, because I could read Psalms 20 times a day, you know, but still be mean to people and still treat people like they're less than me. And that's not a Christ-like example, you know. Yeah, that's the devil, because then you look like Christ. You're a wolf in sheep clothing, you know. You dress like Christ. You say the same words as Christ, but then when you treat people opposite of what Christ would treat, then it's like a, you know, it's a real disrespect too, because it makes people think, you know, I don't want nothing to do with them people because they talk one set of this, and when you see how they treat each other, is not nothing like what they talk, you know, and you know, we are guilty of that as a Congress. We are guilty of talking it big and not living it still, you know, because that's why we are where we are as a Congress, because of the lack of the live, you know, lots of talk, lots of rhetoric, but the live now is not always there. So anyway, I won't talk forever still. I'll give the floor over. Prophet Winston, you had your hand up, and then Jack Clark, I think you just raised your hand and lowered it. I would ask, you know, if ones and ones, if you raise your hand, just keep it up still, because I don't always remember who put their hand up. All right. Prophet Winston, did you still need to reason, my Lord? If not,
my Lord, I give thanks again, my Lord. My Lord is a liberty and is a love, my Lord, you know, and we live in it, you know. As Bobo Shanti, we live in it, my Lord, because the way the Congress there in the world now, it's big. The Congress is right up there, you know. The Congress is right up there. In my country, the Congress is right up there. And everywhere you think about Bobo Shanti, the Congress is right up there, my Lord, you know. It says ones and ones still ain't gonna really see certain things because the Congress is so big, because you're talking a Congress, an international Congress is everything, you know, and you may see ones and ones doing work here, and then it have ones and ones doing work other elsewhere, same way. Bobo Shanti is everywhere, man. Bobo Shanti is 4 winds, my Lord, you know, so we're really justifying the part of living, because we live in it. We are Sabbath keepers, you know. You say teeth and tongue will meet, you know, because Joshua said that too. Ones and ones will disagree on certain things, but we don't hold on upon that, because now the Vincent, if I meet the Bobo, them ain't passing I straight. We sitting up and reason, and we never go by one another for hope and all these things, you know. We don't put away certain things we may even see, you know, because we don't overcome that. Bobo Shanti is one other, my Lord. And from yes, Bobo, you're just Bobo. And no matter where you travel and go, from you see Bobo, you have the love there for Bobo. And we're working as Bobo because we have the Congress now and an international Congress, because we're writing every heads of government. Every heads of government we writing, we get an answer same way, with the power same way. But we're waiting for that day now when everyone could go to the tabernacle, even I and other ones in country, and declare what they was doing over the years and all these things. That is where I walking towards, you know. But in order for it to reach to the level, you know, we have to start to meditate on Jamaica and how we go to get the foundation in the right way too, so that people can go and feel comfortable and live free and wake up, you know, and feel good and go road call and feel good. So a lot of things they to set my Lord within the Congress, and I working towards that. It ain't gonna happen one time because ones and ones, you know, give up faith because of, you know, how they're thinking. You can't force them. He say, many shall be called and a few shall be chosen. So it's just a time. We just have to wait for the time, because the right time is the right time, you know, my Lord. No man can't stop this Bobo Shanti order, and I don't care what they're doing. You know. This order here for rule out and Zion, you know, my Lord. So we're just waiting for the right time. We live in good, we try our best to live good with one another. You know, wherever we know, wherever we do, we trying to do it equal, same way. We have enough wealth in terms of factory setting, you know, Vance carpentry shop. I always want to go to Jamaica to set up a carpentry shop to build doors and windows and all these things there, and open stores in Jamaica. But the way Jamaica going now, I have a hold upon these things now and start to carry them to Africa. So Africa is meditating right now, same way, because it's just the way things going, things ain't going all right, working upon it, but the priests and them show me anything I doing, must do it in Africa. So all the Bobo meditation right now, we just hitting Africa. We have to reach home, you know. It might seem like nothing ain't going on in the camp, but a lot of Bobo moving out. It's Africa we're going, you know. So it's just a time, my Lord, where we just have to have faith in one another same way. And as the priest saying, fulfilling certain things for the priest, he say, what you tell Jehovah's the man about yourself, what you tell the people about yourself, the whole world no Jah Winston, the whole world no Bobo Shanti. You see, so this is just the fullness, you know, we have to say nothing else. The whole world no Bobo Shanti.
Give thanks to the Lord.
And my Lord, let me tell you something. We come here to rule. So that's your day us to rule. And the priests and them know them have a duty for do, and them have to fulfill their duty. We are the prophet out here. We're trying to make the papers and keep the priest and them on the altar so them don't have to move from the altar, them steady every day. Give them everything what they want and them steady. That is my mission. That is my declaration, what I write in Jerusalem. So I depend on a mission. You oversee to fulfill certain things same way, you know, and I still climbing towards it. You know, I'm a builder, I'm a carpenter, fulfilling Exodus 20 and 31. You oversee all his furniture, the lava under his feet, the coats of his servants, the holy garments of Aaron, and the priests, you know, and the garments of his son to minister in the priest's office. So it's an office job, and it's a glory same way. So it's just a time now which part everything will go right in the right way, my Lord, because it's King Emmanuel. Him don't set the levity in I and I. There go come a time when him go put everything in the right place, my Lord. You see, so if we do together, we could get repatriation easy. Easy. You know, what a country we're in. Once we correspond with each other every day, every 2 days and reasoning, we could get repatriation, my Lord. Because we're a goodie. We're a Congress. We're an international Congress. We mean everything in the world, from Zion to earth, you know. So we have to live again and don't know to the powers of Rastafari, my Lord. Let no man live in be justified, just this way. Let no man live in be justified. So I ain't justifying no man live how we live daily. Just a man stay, we know the truth, and know the right, and he manifests it. It go shine. The works will shine. The people then will see the works, and they will glorify it before man, you know. So once and once after, you know, he said, many shall be called and a few shall be chosen. And he said, by your works you shall get paid, you know. So a 6-day work, 7-day rest, you over the fulfillment of the commandment. You know, we meditate the altar and we try to keep the priest and them upon the altar. Whether priest Edley or who the priest them be, Elijah Winston come out here to work, to build papers, to have enough papers to keep the 7 priests or the 21 priests every month upon the altar. Because that is the only how you could bring down Elizabeth. When the priests have to come and go out the road to buy little shopping and little grocery to come forward upon the altar, that ain't right. You could get polluted, my Lord.
Yes, my Lord. Let's, you know, for the sake of everyone else getting a moment, you have to just
shining me light, my
Lord. Yeah, just sometimes you have to wrap it up, you know. You can't just go from topic to topic to topic, because then it goes from the topic of Christ to something totally different now.
Time in my Lord. Give her time next time. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my Lord. You know, asking everyone, you know, the topic is Christ, you know, so let's keep the reasoning as focused on that topic as possible. You know, there were some questions posed, you know, regarding Christ. If we could even, you know, focus on reasoning and answering these questions and clarifying, you know, who is Christ? Is King Selassie Christ in his kingly character, you know, because some Rastafari identify him that way, you know. We say he's the father, like, you know, as the brethren mentioned in Revelation 5, you know, King Haile Selassie is the man sitting on the throne, and King Emmanuel is the one on his right hand who took the book from his hand, you know. So yeah, I would just, you know, ask if we could even clarify on that topic, but also, you know, not just biblically speaking, but also in practical reality, you know, Christ and us as Christ representatives, as a house of priests. You know, what is our movements, our mission, etc. You know, just to make it real so ones can understand Christ, you know, because I think the concept of Christ through the Christianity, the Western world Christianity, has become very unreal, unhuman kind of thing, where God is in the sky out of yourself and, you know, just worship this one person, you know, and you know, there's no real good in humanity, and we're all wretched and vain and all of this stuff. And, you know, King Emmanuel didn't really show us that. He showed us that if you live right, then you can see God in yourself, same way, you know. All right, follow on Jack Clark and then Empress Maisie. Jack Clark, unmute yourself.
My Lord.
My Lord.
Love to the family, are you? Yes, my Lord. Give thanks to the reason, my Lord, again. You know, within all the I and them input. You know that, you see, we could come together now, and when we reason now, it must have one conclusion within reasoning now, because if we are, my Lord, in such country, right, America, and we don't Russia Over down in Cuba, China, you must have one doctrine. You know, that if you ask a man, he could explain you. So you see, all these things like we reasoning, even sharing each other knowledge, and now we see certain things, my Lord, is a good thing, my Lord. You know, the character based, my Lord, on Christ, my Lord, like all the elders and them days. So you know, give thanks to all the elders and them the reason just natural too, because it really works just prove a man, my Lord. You know, that kind of way within the fulfillment of Christ now, as being a king, because he's the king of the Jews. You know, and he's also the priest. True now how he lives, my Lord. So he's also a king and a priest, my Lord, within that fulfillment. You know, Christ himself now. Because if you go back on certain acts, you go see kingly character, you go see priestly character, even the prophet character. So you come like, you know, within Christ dimension, working within the tree. You know, so my Lord, is faith with works and the manifestation according to how it is, my Lord. You go see certain things and we go reason, but you know, we must have one order, one doctrine, you know, coming. We go all reason and we go reason to what we understand. So we have to just, when we come on the platform, my Lord, just to level it off. You know, you get thanks to all inputs, my Lord. Get thanks to everything. So we have a wider, you know, scope. When we come to reason, then we could reason and it could be fundamental within one agreement. You know, so it's much things, my Lord. Get thanks to the moment still. You know, get thanks to the moment still, my Lord. You know, get thanks to the moment still, my Lord. All the input, my Lord. One thing, my Lord, I would like to say, Daniel, my Lord, again the timing, my Lord. You know, again, you know, and for set it too. You know, so everybody could get a little space, that everybody could reason back, my Lord. You know, if it's 5 or 10 hours, we set it, my Lord. Just hold it to that, my Lord.
True. Yes, I mean, I would love if you. I don't know if I understood that correctly, but you said you would help me with the you know, keeping the timing on ones when they reason.
Yes, my Lord.
Okay.
Enough powers, my Lord. Enough power.
Yeah.
And just one thing I want to touch again before I go, my Lord. The mystery of Christ, my Lord. All I have a part to unreveal the mystery now. Because hear what Christ say. We have to seal up the law amongst his disciples and on the testimonies. We have to bind it up. So they come like they will be doing, we binding up the testimonies of Christ and sealing up the law amongst us. So we go out these kind of reasons, my Lord. It's good health, it's good strength. You know, love is really the key and the foundation, as the honorable priest Dougie reason and priest Lee. That is where Emmanuel come back and teach you, my Lord, Father Moses, Lord, the commandments. If you own the commandments, you go have love, my Lord, you go have equality, you go have justice, you go be holy, my Lord, you go cover all the fields. And liberty, my Lord, and righteousness, my Lord, and salvation, my Lord. It's just love, but with law. Because without the law, we can't govern the love. It will be reckless. It will be reckless, my Lord. You know, so we just have to deal with it according to my Lord. King Emmanuel way, my Lord. Love, peace, and love. Respect for one another, equality and justice, the fifth kingdom rise for all, not for some, and not for another. No, my Lord. Christ never so. The character of Christ never so. So you all the kingly character, because a king is a man who is come and justify the court and say, yeah, my Lord, this is truth. Yeah, my Lord, this is right. No, my Lord, that's wrong. So you know, all these things coming back again to be the character, now, my Lord, of the man. But in the order, priestly and king, my Lord, the man, so that's that's
all right.
out of love to the house, my Lord. Powers and strength, get thanks to the royal family. Iron chap, iron, my Lord.
My Lord, give thanks, Jack Clarky. Yeah, it was brought to my attention regarding His Majesty as a Christ, you know. His Majesty did have to use weapons, you know. Yeah, we've seen pictures of His Majesty with big Gatling gun, you know, stepping on bombs, and I've seen a video of him shooting down a plane, you know. So with Christ, you know, is that a work of Christ? Yeah, you know, it's not to question whether it's right or wrong. It's just a matter of Christ as a title in the office. Is that something that Christ would have fulfilled in his time, you know? But, you know, I'll just leave that there still. But Empress Maisie was the next one to reason. So Empress Maisie, the floor is yours.
Oh, give thanks again, my Lord and my Lord. Give thanks, you know, for all the reasoning going through. from the beginning until now, my beloved. You know, I give thanks for Melchizedek order. I give thanks for my God and King, you know, who come and teach us the way of right, you know, how we must live as a people, right? And say, man of right is God in flesh. Woman of right is goddess. You understand? So I give thanks to King Emmanuel teaching the Black Christ. I give thanks to the man laws and commandments and principles and statutes that the man lay behind I to follow. You know, see it, and to I and I live within ourselves, the truths and right. Yeah? Because that I prove to the world that I not just talk, that I work and him talk, and whatever that I say, that I do. You understand? And that I not just say, okay, we're going you know, we're gonna have fasting period this month, we're going to do a 40 days, and him not doing it. The Father first doing it. Him showing you the way how to do it. So I give thanks to the teaching of our right honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edward, who sent and come to redeem his people in a seat and to show us the way how and I must save ourselves, you know, to go back home with a clean hands and a pure heart. And don't say, boy, I want my hand to clean and my heart to pour. No, you're gonna work for your hands clean and you're gonna work towards your heart to pure. You know, see, so all of us have to do what we have to do to set ourselves right within. And the next thing, I give thanks to this reason. I come back to prove it to the world. There's no two Christs around here. It's one Christ, one black God. You see, there's no two, the black Christ. Only Emmanuel Selassie is the black Christ in flesh. Right? So we give thanks to the work of the Father. You know, we know if whatever I'm saying, do. Yeah. And that shows the way as a, you know, show the sons and daughter, you know, how we must live within a right, within a principle. Yeah, respect one another, love one another. If you listen to that reasoning, you know, pan tape, pan everything, in a manner what? Love and unity. Yeah, love and unity amongst ourselves. Yeah, live to the laws and the principles and the commandments. You know, see it. And we never go wrong. We never go wrong from we follow his statue and follow everything that him lay down. And him said, sons and daughters, give me thine heart, and I'll give you thy ever-living kingdom. The Father laid the foundation. I never see no foundation like Bubba Camp. Nowhere at all. In the seat. You're coming through and you know, you get a shelter over your head. And if I want dumpling cooking at the universal kitchen, you know, we share, yeah, and everybody get a piece. We eat and we drink and we praise Rastafari in full glory. So we don't know, you know, what more can Negus do? You know, man lay the foundation and open wide the door. So I give thanks to this reason, you know, listen to the younger brothers, you know, and I say, yes, we know what to do, but we just have to do it, you know. Yeah, we can always talk, but we have to do the walk, which the fathers talk and he must work. I give thanks, my Lord, you know, my beloved brothers, all point of right. I love it. Loving it, my Lord. Give thanks. Blessed Lord.
Love Mama.
Same prayers. Give thanks, Mama Maisie. Few hands raised. John Winston and Priest Dougie and then Empress Leanne. John Winston, the floor is yours, my Lord.
Yes, my Lord, give thanks again. The topic on Christ, same when I look for Emmanuel. So I look in Revelation 5, looking for Emmanuel. From I know Selassie, I find Emmanuel same way. And I was watching this documentary with Selassie upon the throne. The man sit forward on the throne, not even the man eyelash moving, you know. For a period of time, I say, why Emmanuel in the man? Emmanuel live in the man, you know. The holiness of the man when the man sit on the throne. If you sit forward and you write meditation, because of feelings, you know, you have to feel God. Eh? You have the feelings and the mind, your skin, goosebump come on your skin because you see Emmanuel live inside the man, you know. Rasta. That is a conclusion for the Christ we live in the man. Because it's 1 in 3 and still 1 in all, you know. Holy Emmanuel is.
You know, as we, you know, in a prior class, I think it was the one where we talk about King Emmanuel himself. He said the spirit of the Black Christ is the spirit of truth and right that dwells in all flesh of all people. You know, so the spirit of Christ is in all, but only one man that we know of embody that full spirit, you know, is one, you know, and that's what set him apart from the rest. One, he revealed the mysteries and made them practical and real, and also he lived it, you know. Yeah. Sure. Yes, Priest Dougie, my Lord, the floor is yours.
I would defer to the Empress, whose hand is up, and then I will go after her.
Okay. All right, Empress Leanne, you can go, and then Priest Dougie next. Blessed love, Empress Leanne. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Blessed love, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks for life.
Blessed
Blessed
love,
love and peace. Give thanks for life. And the mighty life giver, Holy Emmanuel, I Selassie. Yeah.
Rastafari.
Yes, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks for the reasoning moving through again. Give thanks for all enlightenment moving through. Well, I come in a little late, but from the questions that I see on the concerning Christ and them thing there and the little that I pick up since I hear. But I will have to say and that first of all, according to Empress, me is, you know, is one Christ, you know, is one Christ, Christ in all flesh. This still, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up in the world, when in my experience, growing up in the world, when we learn about Jesus and, you know, he died on the cross for us to save us from sins and, you know, the normal Christian teaching, you know, about Jesus. That's how I grew up, you know, learning about Jesus Christ and these different things. But when I come and learn about the Black Christ now, it come like, it made more sense to me, you know, the Jesus part, you know, it have the good part about it, you know, but it's more like a fairy tale, far-fetched, you know. Yeah. But then I come and learn about the Black Christ now. It come like it put the puzzle together, you know, like the half that have never been told, you know. So the same concept where they say, you know, like that white Christ now, he died on the cross for us and these different things. It's the same way I see the Black Christ, you know, that's the same person, you know, just in the right way here still, you know, it's really a black man and a Black Christ and them vibes they still, you know, so it's one Christ and the half that have never been told that make up the full truth, you know, which is the Black Christ in flesh they still, you know, as they say, died for I and I, you know, and for I and I sins, you know, that we might be saved, you know, and rose, you know, from the grave in 3 days, you know, how we just go this still. Mm-hmm. Concerning King Selassie in Christ in his kingly character, you know, it's something I got chime him still or slicing still, you know, because the Father and his Son is one, you know, and the mystery of Christ is high, you know. So give thanks for enlightenment and I'm looking forward to more understanding on that this still. But as Priest Daniel say, you know, I don't think it's already a concept if I right to say that if it's right or it's wrong, you know, because the Father and his Son is one, you know. But it's one Christ too, and the fullness and the foundation of Christ, as we does always see, and we know is love. Is love, love, love. Just the other day, me and an Empress was reasoning, and we was reasoning about Bobo Shanti in particular, and it was like, You know, it's a group of people that is real talk about peace and love and unity, and it always spoken of always in the best way, the best word song, you know, but it's to really walk the walk, you know. Yeah, man, is love, you know, Christ is love, you know, my Lord and Empress. Yeah, man. Give thanks to the moment of reasoning still. This is just my short input here still, my Lord and Empress. I don't want to go beyond my time. My Lord and Empress.
Yes.
I'll give thanks, Empress, for your
Bless the
words,
Lord.
huh? Yes, I.
Bless the Lord.
Bless the Empress. All right. Yeah, so Honorable Priest Dougie, my Lord, the floor is yours again.
Yes, my Lord. And quickly, you know, we just want to touch on 2 points, you know, to clarify the whole reasoning of His Majesty being a Christ, you know, in his kingly character. Marcus Garvey being a Christ in his prophetical character, you know, and our Father in his priestly character. You know, the Transfiguration expresses that and explains that. When the man manifests the other 2 spirit from out of himself, you know, which is an allegory that is expressing the oneness of the 3. And now, true we say I order stem from the Melchizedek levity. You know, remember how that whole concept manifested, you know. Abraham met Melchizedek coming from what? The slaughter of kings. Him coming from a battle. Seeing the man battle for right. Christ battle for right. Whether you're going to battle as the sacrificial lamb, making the ultimate sacrifice, because that moment require that. But remember now, the man say after that, him not come as no more lamb to no slaughter, but as a conquering lion, conquering to conquer. So that ties in all of that concept right there. There is no mysticism to that. You understand? Because through my years reasoning one-on-one with Dada, him always refer to I Majesty in the highest way as the power of the Trinity. The power of the Trinity. The might and power of the Trinity. Seeing? I and I, because we walk with Dada, and I live it here, and I order is established by Dada. We have a affinity towards Dada. But if we're looking at the culture and the culture itself, you know, we have to take it from the Father's mouth. And the Father always refer to Haile Selassie the First. You understand? As the might and power. So even when I'm talking about what him that are manifesting, it coming from that source. You know, so we always have to be clear on that. We don't want to come in like, you know, the church people them out there. So, you know, we want to be clear. Our liberty is simple and clear. The power of the Trinity. Who is the might and power of the Trinity? Haile Selassie the First. Who are the Trinity? The prophet, the priest, and the king. Simplicity. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my Lord. I would like to, you know, be in the, you know, our culture. And you know, Bobo Shanti culture, we don't really read like parts of books, parts of chapters. We read the whole chapter to get a fullness. I would like to finish Hebrews 7, you know, from where I left off before I call on anyone else to reason. You know, feel free to, if there's anything you want to, you know, stop me for, then stop me for sure. But I would like to finish the chapter still. So we left off at verse 4. So I'll continue reading on verse 4 of chapter 7 of the book of Hebrews. Now consider how this great man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils. And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. Right? But he whose descent is not counted from them receives the tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them, of whom it is witnessed that he liveth. And as I may so say, Levi also, who receiveth tithes, paid tithes in Abraham. So it's, saying that Abraham, Melchizedek is greater than Abraham in a way, still, because Abraham, who everybody paid tithes to, paid tithes unto Melchizedek. For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. You understand that? He was in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him, meaning he wasn't born, but he was able to meet someone. Yeah. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity also a change also of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of the tribe, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. And it is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek there ariseth another priest, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, meaning of the flesh, not made after the flesh, but after the power of an endless life. For he testifieth that thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by which we draw nigh unto God. And inasmuch as not without an oath he was made priest. For those priests were made without an oath, but this with an oath, by him that said unto him, the Lord swear and will not repent, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. By so much was Jesus made a surety of a better testament. And they truly were many priests, because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death. But this man, because he continueth forever, hath an unchangeable priesthood. Wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto him, unto God by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them. For such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens, who needeth not daily as those high priests to offer up sacrifice, first for his own sins and then for the people's. For this he did once when he offered up himself. For the law maketh men priests, which have infirmity, but the word of the oath, which was since the law, maketh the Son, who is consecrated forevermore. Yeah, there in the glorious reading of chapter 7 of the book of Hebrews. So, it was a lot in there, really, but really it's just saying, this Christ, this Melchizedek, was a higher priesthood than that of Levi, that after the flesh, because before the fleshhood was done through lineage. If you were of the tribe of Levi, then you were in the house of priests. But now I and I, being that we're scattered in the West, we don't even know what tribe we come from and them type of things, unless it's some type of spiritual tribe you're talking about. But, Melchizedek also not coming through a lineage necessarily, because some people would say His Majesty is the, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, but King Emmanuel is not related to him. So therefore he couldn't be, like Christ or a God in flesh because of the lineage, But this Melchizedek didn't have any lineage because he was without father and without mother from the beginning of time. And he's a priest forever, and it can't change. And this priesthood is higher than that priesthood of the Levites. And if the law, like the commandments, was able to make one holy and be closer to God, then there wouldn't have been a need for another priest to come and offer up himself, because the priest before would offer up a sacrifice on the altar, whether it be a bullock or, a ram, goat, whatever the case may be, without flaw and all of these things. But Melchizedek doesn't have to offer up anything. He offered up himself one time, and all of us can be saved by him offering himself. But now, to make this a practical reality now, because we see King Emmanuel, didn't get hung on a tree, and it wasn't like how the biblical story tells about Christ sacrificing himself, but he did sacrifice himself in the sense that he created an order, for us to even find salvation within ourselves, just like he was able to find it in himself. And, also he sacrificed, like, all right, when you, as a, say he's our leader, he's our president, our God and King. For him to declare himself and to declare his Congress as, to declare himself as, to say he saw himself as the first Christ, you're going to have a lot of critics who say, yeah, he's you hear people from the Bengi house say he's a sorcerer and, he calls himself Christ and all of these things. But even the scripture tells you anybody that come and say Christ is not of flesh and is just a spirit, that is the Antichrist, So yeah, King Emmanuel fulfilled all of the prophecies of Christ, and just by his life, not by what he said, but the way he lived his life and giving up himself, putting himself out there to be criticized and say crucified in that way by, the Jamaican government and by the other, his peers, who didn't really, see him as we see him and how he saw himself still. Now, I'll leave it open. I ain't gonna talk forever. I just wanted to give a little, my thoughts on that. But the floor now.
My Lord, I just want to clarify something.
Pardon my Lord. Let me, because it's two hands raised before the eye still. So let me just keep, if you can stick a pin, Priest Dougie, and I'll definitely call on the eye next. But we had Jasik, I think I saw your hand. I'm really asking y'all, if you raise your hand, just keep it up. Don't put it back down because I can't.
Okay, my Lord.
Yeah, keep your hand up. I think Jasik had his hand up first and then Ja Winston. So then after them two speak, Priest Dougie will come forward to the eye, my Lord.
Blessed love, honorable, my Lord and Prince and Princess.
Honorable.
Thanks for all your love, my Lord. Give thanks for your love, this is say love. Just want to read a little quoting from the Black Supremacy here because, the character of Christ, so much character of Christ come and manifest, but, the program couldn't hold all, but I just want to read a little thing from the Black Supremacy here, still, my Lord. Give thanks, page 90. Just as it was from 2,000 years ago, the tradition could not change. Jesus traveled through the many cities, offering life and peace to all, thus showing for the revelation of creation to all Ethiopian sons and daughters, willing to listen. Everywhere he went, he was always doing good, but his truth always made the false rulers uncomfortable. He was continuing like a thorn in the side of the beast. Thus he and his disciples were continually harassed and had to move around for safety. Last year, that's the fire. The man who come with the traditional man of the robe and turban order, Give thanks for the character of Christ saying we're still, Heart I love my Lord and Prince and Princess.
Give thanks, my Lord. Honorable Prophet Winston, my Lord, the floor is yours, and then we'll call on Honorable Priest Dougie next.
Give thanks again for the salvation going through, my Lord. Give thanks again for the love sale. Yes, Bobo Shanti, the Christ man live wholly in I because all of I is Judah. If you really check the calendar Ethiopia, if Ethiopia have a calendar was showing you with tribe, and we're really going by the tribe again because all of us is Judah. Is 1 in 3 and still 1 in all of our night. Because God in all flesh, you know. But if you check the character, the priestly culture of Rastafari's Melchizedek, you know, is the holiness where the man come with, you know, because you have to your thinking ability, your self-thought, self-awareness, your goodie, how you treat your good, you know, the things that you see within yourself. Because let me show them something. The word create and destroy same was still, you know. So sometimes ones and ones can be them own Jehovah's offended, ones and ones can be them own stumbling block same within them chat because not them doubt same way. But I know King Emmanuel has the return Christ because it's the only man. Jehovah's was showing I says only one place you could find an altar. Jehovah's in the wall. Anywhere you go in the wall, there's only one house in the wall you could find an altar. We keep the Sabbath. It's King Emmanuel altar, my Lord. Holy Emmanuel.
Celestia, Jah, Rastafari. My Lord, glorify. Give thanks for that, you know, truth. Priest Dougie, my Lord, the floor is yours. You can unmute and go through. My Lord, Priest Dougie, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, my Lord.
Yes, Majesty.
To address something that I said, the Father appears. Now, we don't want to come and continue certain propaganda that has been expressed out there. In 1958, when the Father held the groundation, Rastafari was one, and the Father appears honored him. He was considered the shepherd. That's why he was the one that called that conference. You know, it's the divide and rule that has split I and I apart and made I and I become competitors or whatever we have become adversaries, you know. But the Father was universally elected and known as the shepherd. And I have, being a researcher, you know, within Rastafari, I have spoken to many of those founding elders before them trod, and I don't know one that I have heard speak negative of that. And I'm talking about the founding. I'm not talking about the secondary elders. I'm talking about the founding fathers, man like Bongo Watto. Because when Dada transcend, he was here in Florida among I and I. And when the word came, he refused to accept it. Him say him have to wait till him go Jamaica and see that for himself. See, and one would think that they would be adversaries. No. As a matter of fact, from that word came, he took down. He wasn't himself again till him leave here. And he never was himself again. He shortly after that, he himself transcended. But I was here with him and proved how he reacted. He would not accept the sounds of the man tried. See, that's the level of respect. See, and I've heard Sam Brown, many of the founding elders, I have interviewed them. That's why I have written the book that I wrote. See, and they attested to the power of I and I Father being the shepherd, the man who brought even the dreadlocks liberty to be a standard amongst Rastafari. This came out of Nazareth, out of that 1958 convention. See, many of the elders that became known, you know, some of those on the elders album that ones and ones know they have the chanting and thing. Those ones will tell you that they ras up in 1958 after attending the conference, because before that there was Comb Some Ras, Beardman Ras. See, respected amongst his peers. You understand? And he was acknowledged as the shepherd until we were infiltrated as a movement and separated through whatever, you know. Just wanted to clarify that one point, because more time ones try to make it seem like there has always been this division amongst I and I. No. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my Lord. I said that based on, like I mean, I don't deny or doubt what you said about Bongo Watu, being that you knew him personally still, but there is a video on YouTube. There's a few videos. There's one video where he's in Guyana speaking, and he calls King Emmanuel a sorcerer, straight up, you know. There's not even nothing confusing. I heard him say it with my own 2 ears. And then there's a video where he was in the company of Priest Paul, you know, and he said some things, you know, that kind of, you know, show that, you know, he didn't really see King Emmanuel as who we see him as still, and kind of was like more like we're to the point where Priest Paul had to defend King Emmanuel and tell him, you know, I don't see no order that you set up that stand, you know, no liberty. So I mean, well, while he might have said one thing to the eye, still it is not. I'm not coming out of nowhere, you know, with what I said still, and
Sure.
yeah, it's you know, maybe he did respect him.
Good.
He did say some things
Good.
that was definitely not the best, you know, towards King Emmanuel publicly on video.
And I'm not negating that. Yes, sir. And I'm not negating that. You know, I'm just saying the infiltration came and ones became what they became. But the original, you know, how we started out as a movement, you know, with the 1958 convention, every man attended, and it was the gathering that gave the father the title as shepherd. See, so whoever want to descend after that and become dissenters after that, that is, you know, that is there as a truth and a reality. But
Sure.
I am addressing the fact of how the thing started out. The father never just assumed the title. Through him liberty, through him exemplary liberty, he elevated naturally to that rank of being the shepherd of the movement.
Thanks, Father.
That's what I'm trying to establish.
Yes, I give thanks for that clearance still, you know, because, you know, in what I said, I was not trying to create any division, just to acknowledge the reality, you know, through the way the society of Jamaica viewed King Emmanuel and the governments of the world as they knew who he was, because he communicated with them. He declared himself to them. He declared what he came to, you know, bring to the people, you know, fundamental human rights, freedom, you know, and those governments disregarded him. They never gave him, you know, the proper respect to really allow him, like to say to give the Congress a I don't know the proper word, but as far as the United Nations membership, it was not one where he could really address the league or the United Nations like how His Majesty addressed them, you know. And so they just kind of like curbed him without ever giving him the proper representation for him to speak, as you know, as Christ sees the sovereign over the whole earth, you know, over all of those nations, and they never really acknowledged him as such. So I'm just making the reference to say that that's how they, you know, say, quote unquote, crucified him, you know, to not let him, you know, really like, all right, when in the scriptures, when they crucified Christ, it was because he was, you know, stirring up the people. He was showing them too much power in themselves and showing them too much of a reality that, you know, these Pharisees and scribes and say the rich people and the church, or, you know, synagogue at the time, whatever, is dealing with iniquity and inequality and you know, enslaving and mistreating people, you know. So same way King Emmanuel came, and when in the scriptures they show they wanted to kill him because he was just doing too much, you know. They couldn't manage him. He was making the people too free, and they love to control people. So the same way King Emmanuel, once he showed us a certain freedom, a level of natural freedom and natural rights that man and woman have, regardless of any, you know, gender, skin color, nationality, any of that stuff. That was too much for the world. So they had to get rid of him, you know, to silence him. You know? Pardon. They had to silence him. So that's what I was, you know, making a reference that, you know, is the government silence him by not giving him the proper platform to really address the world properly. And also to say that his peers, some of them while yes, they may have, of course they know where their origins come from. They know the facts, they know the reality, but still they decided to, speak against him in certain ways publicly to take away his power, but they couldn't take away the power of Christ same way still, Yeah. So, Priest Dougie, is that
1950? Yeah, the night we need to put on the agenda the 1958 convention to as a topic to reason about, because it's a foundation event that needs to be unpacked, that we can see the relevance of it, because my personal feeling, that was the crucifixion of Dada. That proved his Christhood, because that convention, the last day, they just give me a minute, let me bring a little thing.
Go through, man. Yes, sir.
There was a 21-day convention. Coming down to the end of the convention now, a group approached Dada and say, well, let's take the rest of the convention, the rest of the days, whether it is 1 or 2 days that were left, down to the park, the Central Park in Kingston, Victoria Park. Okay. Dada was against it. But as you would want to say, a democracy, the man them grouped up and they were the majority. Them said them want that, so Dada gave them heart desire and say, all right, well, since you don't want to go down there, I won't stand in the way. All right, we'll go down there. But him warn them how to behave and all of that and all of that. Long story short, them go down on the park. Shedrack, and I spoke to Shedrack directly. This is Shedrack is someone that was part of the one of them who I interviewed. Shedrack climbing the statue, climbing some statue that was in Victoria Park, broke something. He said he was climbing, going up on the top to put up a flag. See, and I love ice and I flag wherever I go. So he was going to ice a flag and something broke off. The guys, them, Babylon, them, the system, the government, they were just waiting for an incident, because they tried, remember, throughout the convention, they tried several things to mash up the convention. Them send the water brigade, what them call fire brigade, over there to hold the fire key that was burning. And instead of just outing the fire key, them flooded out the whole of Nazareth and made it very uncomfortable for days, because the place was muddied out, trying to dissuade ones from being there, because remember now it's 3,000 ones gathered them time there at that convention. And that was unprecedented in them time there. Because there was no email and text or nothing, It's just word of mouth, and man come from all over and gather. So now, when they went down to the park and that happened, the Babylon them invade the park and started to beat ones and run ones out of the park, and them inquiring now, who is the leader of this, who is the head of this? And them was directed to Dada. Dada himself tell the story now, say, him like once run and thing, him wasn't running because him know him not do nothing wrong. So him took up a little, one of the princess them, and had the princess in him hand, thinking as well that with a child in him hand, they wouldn't be as violent as they were being to others. But them just take the youth out of Dada and began to beat him. And them beat Dada and send for a jeep. And ones remember, even when them driving off with Dada in the jeep, them beating Dada. Dada was bleeding from him nose, him mouth. They mashed the father down. Ones remember one of the button them. I don't know if they them know how them button there. And I'm not talking about them modern day one, Them whole time one we make out of them tough wood.
Thick and heavy.
Heavy. One of them broke up on the father,
Yeah.
And the man just called for another one and draw feet and continue to beat him, And the man them take him from this and carry him go to Denham Town and throw him down in one of the back cell them in a Denham Town prison or Denham Town jail. And throw him down in the back cell is the infamous Joe Williams, who was on the night shift as a sergeant them time there. come and before him go take him post, him walk in the place, walk in the cell and checking, you know, doing him rounds. And buck up on Dada round in the pen there and know who Dada is. Know Dada, you know, Dada status in this society at the time. Knowing said this is a man of right. This are the shepherd of Bakawal. This is the man who not only agitate for Rasta people, but him in the government face all the time defending better living standard for everybody in a Western Kingston there and in the inner city. So he's a man when known and loved by the people. So him rush on the front now and ask, who do that? Who do that? And them show him, I guess, show him who, whichever two guy that was still there at the time. And him tell him to go for a jeep now and carry the man go to hospital. Now, the next morning, the headline say, Rasta leader dead. But Dada survive. Now, ones have to know that by enough of them button lick what Dada get. That's why Dada's speech in him later years became muffled like that. We have to face some realities. I know one's going to feel away because we're talking about the humanity of the man. But the man was a human.
Yeah.
And when him get to become certain thing, that is the end result of it. So that's why Dada reasoning was so muffled in his last days, seeing as a result of them terrible button lick what the man get. So that was because no other normal man would have never survived what Dada got through. So that was the crucifixion right there.
I'll give thanks, my Lord.
It was just different from hanging him on a cross, but yes, that was it. I give thanks.
Oh, give thanks, my Lord, for that historical reference. You know, give thanks for the elders. You know, the African griot. You know, keeping the history, yeah, and oral culture. You know, yeah. That, you know, that's the missing piece of the puzzle, really, the reality, the crucifixion. And I mean, you know, it has been told still, like Priest Isaac has a program about the crucifixion and resurrection of King Emmanuel, same way, you know. And even in that, you know, he even mentioned that Mortimer Plano was Dada's secretary at the time.
Yeah.
And we heard Mortimer Plano's testimony of the event, because he was there as well, and he said, you know, he never seen anybody get beaten like how they beat King Emmanuel, same way, you know. So yes, my Lord, give thanks for bringing that reality to the reasoning. You know, the crucifixion part is a big part, you know, because when it comes to the scriptures now, you have to line up for it to make sense. And you know, I firmly believe that he didn't just point us to the Bible just for religious reasons, but it's a reality in its same way still, you know. So, yeah, give thanks, my Lord. Priest Doug.
It have another part to that, you know, my Lord. It's a two part to it. I go love to adjust, say, my Lord.
Go through, my Lord.
King Emmanuel say he come out of his body and watch them beat it. And when he done, he take it up and chat. So John feel them last, you know, my Lord. Give thanks again for the power. You know the thing again with the brothers and them with the turn down banner. I mean, I compromise this, the banner turn down. King Emmanuel carry them up on a hill in Bobo Hill and tell them, who for he, go upon this side, and who not for he, go upon the other side. The man then build up another thing over side, Bobo Hill, so with some other great general, my lord. We never chat with King Emmanuel. And King Emmanuel come and build up Bobo Hill, my lord. And the instruction I get from the priest, especially preach, man, I sit forward and reason twice. And set up Bobo Hill different, and I mean, I one toilet, then use every man going to the toilet, so you have to use a different toilet seat. How King Emmanuel start this order? Just say he come out, he good and watch them beat it. And when he done, he just take it up and chat. No man can't go wrong them powers, them either. See that?
Yes, so he gave up himself, you know, because everybody else ran, you know, and just you people, you know, they with you until they get thick, and yeah, and then when as soon as it's everybody innocent whenever it's time to get the punishment, you know. But yeah, the man who didn't do anything, who wasn't climbing no statue and raising no, you know, set of problems and stuff, is the one who take the beating for all of them that was there, and the one who, you know, afterwards was able to resurrect himself, and rise this Congress that I and I can live, you know, as his representatives in earth, you know, to continue the tradition of Black Christ livity, you know. Yeah, so the floor is open right now. No hands are raised. But, you know, if anyone has anything that they wanted to say, any topics that they feel we didn't touch on yet, but we'll close really soon, you know. So even closing remarks, you know, conclusions regarding the Christ, the office of Christ. Firsthand, Clarkey, my Lord, then Brother Joseph, Prophet Joseph is next. Prophet Clarkey, the floor is yours, my Lord.
Heart of love, my Lord.
Yes,
The earth family, Black Christmas, give thanks, my Lord. Thanks for your divinity and such reason. We know you could reason forward, my Lord, because Christ, you know, He infinite, my Lord, with the power and the majesty of the man, my Lord. So, you know, but thanks for another day, you know, inspiration and, you know, education and, you know, nothing, my Lord, from ones and one. That I love to be royal family. Thank and powers and the best of Christ first. Blessed love to the royal family.
my Lord. Lord, I give thanks for the high contribution to the study group, Jack Clarkey. Prophet Joseph, my Lord, you're next. You can unmute yourself.
Blessed Lord, my Lord and Empress. Again, give thanks for the reason in my Lord, and yes, for our Black Christ. I would just like to point out a character of the Father, of the Black Christ, that is, manifested through his coming in as Melchizedek, as the Black Christ, as Moses, which is the African liberation. Our Father is the general of African liberation, even from that time to this time. So, yes, I just want to give thanks for such a general, my Lord, to point the way for us to unite and organize and come out of Egypt land, because it's the same Father Moses who took us from Egypt, and it's the same Black Christ that manifests in Marcus Garvey, in King Emmanuel, and in our King Emperor Selassie. So they really take this duty very serious as the general of our of us, his people. So we do give thanks for this, this principle that he called us to unite forward to, which is freedom, redemption, and repatriation. You see, the white world trying to make the people think that Moses is a different man than Christ and all of these things, but we know our Father, the Black Christ, is Father Moses, and he coming this time to take us out of Egypt. So, we must manifest this character same way towards our liberation as African people, my Lord and Empress.
Worthy.
Give thanks for the reasoning again, give thanks for the study group, give thanks for everyone's words and teachings, my Lord and Empress.
Oh, yeah, thanks, my Lord. Prophet Joseph, as always, you know, in the study group, always in the music class. Give thanks for your presence, give thanks for your contribution as usual. Yes, my Lord. Coming up, we have Empress Leanne, then Empress Dion, then Ja Winston, then Prophet Clarkey. So in that order, Empress Leanne, the floor is yours. Unmute yourself and you can speak.
Bless the love, my Lord and Empress.
Bless the Lord, Honorable.
Yes, Majesty. Bless the love. Give thanks to the moment of reason and I give Majesty. I just want to give thanks for the insight of the what really took place in the conference in 1958. They are still in our priest dog. You give thanks, my Lord, because I always say about that situation, you know, but to see how the priests give the real insight about it, I get a more clearance about it, you know. it really touched me, they say with the increase of knowledge is the increase of sorrow, Yeah, give me a real sorrowful feeling to really see what the man will go through and hear what he go through and really get the fullness of what he go through. And that's just one aspect of what he go through for I and I this still, Yes, so I don't know that somebody sacrificed so much a different sacrifice their life, even things like that and all that come like another crucifying take place there. I think these are things for we to really, really look into ourselves and really do what needs to be done. Still the two, my Lord and Empress. So give thanks for the insight of it again, Priest Doggy, It shows too that how much it is good to listen to Jah, how good it is to really listen to Jah, because as the priest said just to the end of the conference, these people come up with the idea to go down to the Victoria Square, and that I was against it. But he just love it still, and look what go on, Probably that was to happen, I didn't know, but it does just show me, it is good to listen to Jah as much as possible, possible all the time. Still, so give thanks for the sacrifice of the man, give thanks for all that he have done for us, all that he is about to do still, give thanks for our loved ones in Rastafari, and I hope, we could really prevail in peace and love still, my Lord and Empress, give thanks to the moment of reasoning. Blessed love, my Lord and Empress.
Thanks, Sister Leon.
Blessed love, Honorable Empress Leanne. Yeah, give thanks for your presence and your contribution, same way. Yeah,
Yes.
and I agree. Jadogi, the insight that the eye just gave into that story was something it was, definitely made it clearer, a more clear picture. Yeah, so I could really see how the whole scene went down, So I do give thanks and glorify that you brought forward that piece of the puzzle still. Next is Empress Dion. Empress Dion, you can, unmute yourself and speak.
Blessed art thou love, blessed art thou Christmas love, going through all the same. My Lord and Empress.
Blessed love, Sister Leanne.
Mama.
Blessed love, Empress.
Love to the Lord, Empress. I'll just like to read something very small in accordance to what, in a strength and accordance to what the reasoning is here right now, right? We first have to remember that Christ, he is omnipotent and omniscient, right? So the immutability of Justice Emmanuel Council was confirmed by an oath that Emmanuel cannot lie, right? His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, speaks to us through Jesus, right? He sits at His Imperial Majesty right hand, which is Hebrew chapter 1. Prince Emmanuel, the eldest leader of Rastafari, in an interview with the writer of the book called The Rastafarian, Mr. Rex Nettleford, page 94 of the same book, Rex asks Jesus, if thou claim to be the same Melchizedek and is without father and mother in Jamaica, how did thou come here? And Emmanuel told him, I, the Black Christ, did appear in the parish of St. Elizabeth in 1915 as fulfilled in the Holy Bible, St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 26 to 27, and Isaiah chapter 43, verse 5. So that is where it is we have to know, believe, and stand by. His word ever liveth, and we can't think, well, it's not possible, because with him all things are possible. We can't doubt or perhaps or perceive if what other people saying is true or not true when he said what he said. And I think that is what it is we're supposed to be dealing with and going through it, because his word was from the beginning and it will always stand till now and forevermore. So the word is what we live by. So the word is what's supposed to go through. My Lord and Empress, give thanks for the word.
Glorify.
Yes. Give thanks, Empress Dion.
Thanks, Empress.
Mhm. Yes, so next is Prophet Winston and then Jassy.
Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. It's Honorable Empress Donka, Honorable Jah Winston's Empress. No, giving thanks again. It's been a moment, since I've risen, been holding a, really high meditation with myself. Giving thanks for the royal congregation, my Lord, Empress, Prince, and Princess, giving thanks for the priests and the prophets too as well, giving thanks for the priestical order, our reason, and first of all, and give thanks for the celebration going through the earth, the 7 days and 14 days of celebration of the birth of the earth, giving thanks for the Black Christ in flesh. I also want to reason and say, I know King Emmanuel, in terms of I self, in terms of what, I been through in terms of living testimonies, and also know him as a spiritual because I see it with my own eyes and been through it with my own, being, physical being, through the spiritual and through the spiritual and the physical. So no one can really, truly tell I that, I don't know King Emmanuel, in them ways there, but, such information that the priests and the prophets and the empresses then, reason about is glorious. Because why? Because it gives I more strength to know that what I seeing for I self, is true through their own testimonies, of the Black Christ in flesh. Because I might not have been there in the physical, right, with him, but I was there through the spiritual. Because why? Because he know and create everything. So he know that he ordained everyone before they even come upon the earth, right? So I don't know that he's a living, God, a Black Christ in flesh that go through all them battles and still going through it because of all of the I, our gods and goddesses of the earth. So again, now my question, why I want reason to, giving thanks again to the elders, and because that information is just impeccable. Yours, and that does not go unnoticed when it comes to I myself. I can only reason about, I cherish them type of information, whether it's through the spiritual or the physical, whether reading in a book, whether it might not be books that King Emmanuel or even other bobos may ordain or see it as feasible, but I cherish every information that every bobo, whether ones on ones I might not feel is doing certain works, or they might not feel I doing certain works, so on and so forth, but I still cherish certain information because I know how to pick the good out of any sort of negative, or even when negative is coming, I try to always see a good in everything, same way. So Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. So my question is now in terms of the book of Synod, right, which is what they say, and I say they say, is that there's 166 original books in the Bible, right? The Bible still come from the ancient scrolls of Ethiopia. So them books that was omitted, as enough ones have heard, right, some of those books is a book of behavior, and even just all of the Bible is a book of behavior. So now, if these books weren't around now, because I know that certain races and certain bubbles, right, dash fire upon certain books, right? Now, I want to know, how does the principles come in if those principles are actually the book of Synod from what I've read, certain things that I read, right? Some of them dash fire upon the Synod, the book of Synod. But the book of Synod still comes through, when you read certain parts of the book of Synod, it comes as if it's the United Nations. It also comes as if it is the League of Nations. It also comes as if, it's the actual natural principles that the priests are supposed to live up to, which is the natural being, the ways of acting, of behavior of the priests, which is still the civil laws. So now when that is saying now, going forward to what the priests that reason about Jah when he got beaten, wouldn't that be part of the book of behavior? Him being a priest and showing that, you know what, when he reasoned to ones and ones and say to certain ones and ones, they're not to go out there. And he did warn them not to go out there and do certain things, but they still did not listen to Jah, right? And still go ahead and do certain things and behave in a certain way when he told them not to. So would that not be the same thing, that same type of, priestly behavior that Jah is reasoning about? Just a question.
Give thanks, Honorable. Give thanks.
On how the priests and the prophets, specifically because it is a priestly order. I want to know, how do they see that area there?
Give thanks, Honorable. We'll allow someone, if anyone can answer the question before I call on the next hand, so the Empress could get a clearance. If anyone knows the answer, just speak right now, because there's already hands up, and I don't, keep the order of the hands raised so one can give their closing comments. But if anyone can answer the Empress question, then the floor is open still. All right. I don't know, Empress, maybe I, might have to look somewhere else to get the answer to the question still, because no one is really raising their hands to answer it.
I go and sit same way. Powers, give thanks again for Mama same way. And give thanks again because the Empress more lived through the spiritual powers of Rastafari, because the Empress is the Empress with Chad with her and I from such time, and she used to drop down on the ground. Sometimes although we keep in the Sabbath, when I look behind, I see she on the ground, Rasta overs. And from such time and to this time is over 10 years now, and going she ever drop on the ground again, same way, So she know King Emmanuel, she says she see him, he patchy and all them things, So the man live within I and I holy, and it's just through the holiness where I keep, and the 21 days where I keep same amongst the Empress, give the such powers. Because when I go camp, I go with the Empress, and I didn't go with the Empress because I could carry the Empress there. I go to minister to the Empress, because you have to go and minister to the Empress, when she in the journey. Yeah, you have to know to minister to she, you have to know to pour water, you have to know when to touch the papers, because you can't touch the paper what she may write and left in the box for you there. You have to know enough things, you have to know when you chatting with the Empress. So we keep that power there. And even go through enough things, because even the lawyer and sometimes with the Empress it have. We lick out all them things there. Look in and lick it out through the power of King Emmanuel, the faith of King Emmanuel. And we are always all upon the Sabbath, never late. Holy Emmanuel,
Give thanks for the clarity again, Honorable my Lord. Give thanks for, 3 in 1, 1 in 3, alongside Empress Menen, because you could never leave out Empress Menen, we must always have Empress Menen, because without Empress Menen, we don't know already. So we give thanks again for the clarity again, Honorable John Winston. Give thanks again, for all, the celebration and the good words and the wrong words, same way. We have to give thanks, or else without the wrong words, there wouldn't be a balance, right? Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah. All right, give thanks again for the reasoning, my Lord, Empress, Prince, and Princess.
Give thanks, Honorable. Next hand raised is Prophet Jasique. My Lord, the floor is yours. You can unmute.
Yeah, my Lord, bless the love. Closing words, we give thanks for brother, sister, love. After the Christmas, going through, to full joy and happiness, after love to the royal family. Yeah, man, we give thanks for Moses again, the Black Christ, who come to rest with Pharaoh in this time, for the captives to be free, So as Christ living with his words still, I will we know Israelites, which is I and I, prepare to meet your God. Gentiles, the wicked white world, prepare for war. So when Jah come again, is death and destruction for the wicked them, and all the people that are maker, no strength and power. So we give thanks to prepare for you maker in this right now in this time here, my Lord. All brethren, all Christian, clean hands, pure heart. Keep this about the holy, Lord's commandments. Yeah, my Lord, let me do the thing, my Lord. So when the man come,
we're going to be safe. Heart of love, give thanks for your closing words, give thanks for all brethren and sisters. Rasta.
Bless the love, my Lord. Give thanks, Honorable Jasik. Give thanks for the eye contribution, same way. Give thanks, Honorable Prophet Winston and Empress. I didn't catch the Empress's name still, but, you know, give thanks to the family, same way. Pardon?
Mama. Empress Duncan. She don't really speak that much. She Canadian and she more French. So sometimes you just have to really talk more than one time for she really over what you're saying. Because she more French, you know, more love and strength, same, you know.
Give thanks. Give thanks, Joe Winston and Empress Duncan. I think I said it right.
Yes.
Give thanks, Honorable. Well, before we close, Honorable Priest Matthew has just joined right before we finish up. I just want to, you know, while he's here, I would love to give thanks for Honorable Priest Matthew filming, you know, yesterday, the celebration all through the night, all the way up until 5:30 this morning, you know, the live stream for ones and ones around the world to take part in the Black Christ Mass celebration, you know, one live, you know. It was his idea. I just gave him the platform to do it. He did it, you know, the morning service from 6 until 12. We got most of it. And, you know, the closing of the evening service and the all-night bingy all the way till 5:30 this morning. Give thanks, Priest Matthew, for the willing sacrifice to share the service with I and I, you know. Yes, my Lord.
Enough powers, man.
Yeah, it looked like his connection dropped or something, so we can't hear from him right now. But anyway, it's known. Yeah, Priest Matthew, give thanks again, my Lord. And you know, I would just like to say my closing little 2 words is that, you know, I give thanks for the reasoning. I give thanks for everyone's presence and everyone's interest, you know, and willingness to come forward and share. Yeah, the example of Christ, you know, being that he would sacrifice himself, he couldn't be a one who would be afraid to speak, you know, like to know right and not come and speak for himself and represent himself. So I give thanks for all the angels who, you know, is not like hindered, you know, to come forward and share what they know. Even what you think, sometimes we don't know, but we think, and sometimes what we think is right. Sometimes what we feel is right. So, you know, give thanks for the lack of fear of speaking for yourself and representing yourself, because it couldn't just be me alone, you know, everyone else that comes and reasons. I give so much thanks for everyone, you know, young, old, man, woman, you know. Yeah, I give thanks for all the I and I that come to make the study group a study group and really freely reason about these, you know, things that, you know, it's not like we're saying anything that's like new necessarily, but really just to put it out there for ones and ones that maybe don't know. And you know, it'd be one thing I have, you know, a platform I could just talk by myself, but instead of me doing that, I would rather it be a rounded reasoning with I and I from different areas, different ages, different experience, different set of knowledge, different expertise, strengths and weaknesses, to come and make it a full, well-rounded reasoning, you know, for ones and ones to take part and really, you know, watch on the YouTube or wherever they may be. We're doing this. I mean, say I can speak for myself. I'm doing this because I want to learn, but I also want to share with what I learn with others. So I give thanks that all of I and I could come forward to fill that mission, you know, to share the knowledge with the people in the world who, you know, may not have had access to certain books or elders or whatever, you know. So yes, I and I.
You know how pleasant it is, my lad.
Yes, my Lord. It is very good and very pleasant that we could dwell together in peace and love and unity and fulfill the word, the commandment of our Father, you know, love one another as you love yourself, you know. Reasoning is better than preaching, you know. None of us is here to preach. We're all here to reason with one another and build on these ideas, these concepts, the history, the prophecy, all of that, you know. Yeah, so all of I and I could have a well-rounded knowledge, you know, not just leaning on our own understanding, but leaning on each other, leaning on the ever-living arms, Most High, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, at this time, I would love for the honorable priest to come forward and share some closing words and then go through with the sealing of the program with a prayer. My Lord, Priest Doug.
Yes, family. It has been a nice, great moment, a sweet moment communing with my brothers and sisters. Yeah, this is the house of priest. This is the house of God. This is the house of Christ, man and woman, guys. Man and woman manifest the fullness of Christ. So, I man give thanks. This has been long needed because we are not able to be temporarily, all of us, in the camp yard. We have created the environment of the camp yard because really and truly, beloved, back in them early days, after Sabbath, even after the Friday night service, I would gather by the leading priest's house. There was a priest house that housed most of the leading priests at that time, and we'd gather around there and we would unpack the book that was read and reason and issues pertaining to I and I liberty, and the leading priest them would be there to guide the reasoning, and we would learn, what it is that we are there to do. And we would do the same after Sabbath if we are not rushing to the broom field for start, create products for the next day hustling. We would gather again at the priest's house, especially if it was a celebration, Iowa, and reason on topics like these. So the whole congregation would be at the same level of understanding when it comes to I and I liberty, because we're trying to create the one doing, the one order. So I man give thanks for this platform, Daniel, that they have created, and I give thanks for all contributors, no matter, what sound, all sounds bring response, and from responses, we get information and we learn. So there is no bad question, there is no bad input, because we all inputting from a good place, from my heart. So I man give thanks, beloved, and that is a few words. Yeah, as we close, my brother, behold, what manner of love. What manner of love our Father bestowed upon I and I, that I and I could be called the sons and daughters of Him, the Most High. Holy Emmanuel, I, Slash, Jah, and as the man said, love and our laws and prophet commands upon the face of the earth. So in this moment, I ask the Father to visit all hearts with love, as we reflect on this, the most precious moment in I and I existence, the birth of the earth, the birth of Christ, the birth of right and righteousness. Holy Emmanuel, I, Slash, Jah, Rastafari. Glory be unto our Father, and unto the Son, and unto the Holy One of creation. As it was in the beginning, it is now, and forever shall be, the world without end. So we hail our God, Selassie, Jehovah God, Jarastafari, our Almighty God, Jarastafari, His great and terrible God, Jarastafari. We hail Him on this our most precious moment. Long live the King liveth. Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie,
Jah, Rastafari.
Guide and protect all thy loved ones, until we meet again at Nego's feet, until we commune together and break bread together, our Father. Protect and keep I and I, fill I and I with thy wise mind, understanding, and knowledge, that I and I forever will do thy will. Most High, Selassie, Jah,
Rastafari.
my Lord.
Father, I give thanks, Honorable. This is the African Liberation Network, and this is another Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress International Study Group. I am Prophet Daniel, the host, and we are the International Study Group. So give thanks for all I and I, and give thanks for the Black Christ presence with and in us, living through us, doing His work, So Until next time, our guidance and protection, our strength and powers, and a blessed heart of celebration.
Peace and love.
University internationally.
Peace and love. Peace
My
and
Let
Lord.
God have a
Peace
celebration.
and love, my Lord. Right, yes, Lord King. Heart of love to the family, my Lord.
my Lord.
Love to-
Royal love to guide up to my Lord.
Strength and power going through the